Live broadcast of Naruto begins with a movie The Death of Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 401. Jiraiya regrouped, looked at the beast above with a serious expression and said, "There is no need to test this guy when facing him. You must go all out from the beginning." Jiraiya bit his palm, and his fingers were stained with blood. He drew a red pattern on the corners of his eyes and connected it with the original red paint on his face. Then he put his hands together, prepared to enter the sage mode. "Gameken, please buy me some time. I want to summon the two great sages." Gameken took the task while laughing at himself. At this time, the beast was swallowed by the lizard, and the lizard's invisibility completely wiped out its figure. Jiraiya was amazed by this, but with both sides unable to move, he could only helplessly use his feet to seal and open a barrier to detect the opponent's position so as to respond. Oh, Jiraiya is going to use Sage Mode too, but what does it mean to summon a sage? Sage of the Six Paths? That was my first reaction as well, but Sage Mode is a move from some inherited place. It should just happen to have the same name. Shouldn't he find a place to sit cross-legged and absorb natural energy? Or use a shadow clone? Could it be that Jiraiya's Sage Mode is an advanced version? Seeing the effect of the barrier, the animal path summoned a three-headed giant dog to attack, and Gameken stepped on the wall to meet it head-on, and in no time he forked the three-headed dog into the wall and controlled it, but he didn't expect the three-headed dog to suddenly separate into three independent individuals, not only breaking free from control, but also splitting another dog head from the body that had been attacked by Gameken. Four giant dogs launched an attack on Toadjian in the cramped cylindrical space. Although Toadjian was agile and skilled in fighting, he could not withstand the attacks from all directions. More importantly, the number of enemies continued to increase with his attacks. His injuries were getting worse and worse. Toadjian had no choice but to launch a fierce attack, knocking away all the giant dogs with a powerful attack, and then broke away from his current location and rushed out of the tower. Wow, this dog-shaped summoned beast is really powerful. The more it is attacked, the more it will be. This is almost equivalent to the level of immortality. After being attacked so hard by this big toad, the body was split and all the injuries disappeared. Blunt attacks are ineffective, so what about cutting attacks? For example, if you cut it in half, won't both sides recover at the same time and become two? This kind of object with super recovery and vitality, I feel that there is no better way to deal with it than the third Tsuchikage's dust release. One move will kill it. Arriving at the building opposite the tower, Jiraiya and Gameken looked at the giant dog chasing out of the tower, with the number of heads increased to 10, and for a moment they were a little helpless. Because the most urgent task is to summon the two great sages so as to perform the Sage Mode, Jiraiya has no intention of fighting the enemy head-on. He ordered Gameken to retreat temporarily and planned to lead the multi-headed dog into a narrow space to deal with it slowly. Gamegen once again repelled the multi-headed dog's attack, but before it could move to another location, a strange-looking giant bird suddenly attacked. Even though Gamegen blocked it with a shield, he was inevitably knocked to the ground by a huge force. By the way, where did Pain contract these summoned beasts? Although they are just a little bigger and don't have many special abilities, they are considered to be very high-quality summoned beasts for most ninjas. Please take a look at the eyes of these summoned beasts before you say this. It is obvious that they have been strengthened by the Samsara Eye. Otherwise, tell me where I can catch summoned beasts with a Samsara Eye. I don't know if there is an upper limit to the number of contracts, and I don't know how much the strengthening range is. If both are very high, then this Pain can summon an army of summoned beasts by himself. This Pain's system ability is summoning. It can be said that all his combat power is maintained in this aspect. It is not surprising that he can summon an army of summoned beasts. Gameken, who could not hold on any longer, was forced to cancel the summoning technique and return to Meiboku Mountain. Looking at the summoned beasts approaching all around, Jiraiya was a little overwhelmed, but he also had some doubts. He has the same eyes as the Six Paths Sage. He not only mastered all the ninjutsu I taught him, but also mastered the 6 types of chakra nature changes that were originally impossible for one person to master. He has the ability to master all mainstream ninjutsu. He can use all kinds of ninjutsu freely at the age of 10, but why only use summoning? Looking at the giant bull summoned in front of him, Jiraiya didn't understand. Do you think there is no need? Do you mean to fight in person? 6 types of chakra, 1 more than Kakuzu. It's the Samsara after all, so it's understandable that it's a little special. Is it necessary to make such a fuss? Although there are few people with 6 types of chakra, there are people with 7 types of chakra. This has little to do with the Samsara. The number of chakra types is not the point. The point is the word proficiency. That is to say, as long as the ninjutsu corresponds to Pain's chakra type, he can learn and master it. Kakashi's so-called thousands of ninjutsu are just child's play here. At the age of 10, he can use various ninjutsu freely. It's worthy of the Samsara. The blood limit is the rarest. Not only is he a very talented person, but he also has such a talent. Under such circumstances, after Jiraiya accepted him as his disciple, he actually let him go and didn't bring him back to Konoha. I really don't know what he was thinking. Jiraiya is not only not serious in character, but also as naive as Pain. Even if he himself is not interested in things like the Samsara, for the sake of the village, he must at least take it under control. I can understand this point. After all, he is a disciple recognized by Jiraiya. For the sake of protecting his disciples, it is reasonable for Jiraiya to conceal this matter and not report it to the village. After all, Konoha has a figure like Danzo, the eye-gouging maniac. The giant bull rushed over like a chariot and directly pushed Jiraiya into the wall. In the smoke and dust, accompanied by a violent explosion, the giant bull was knocked out of the wall and dissipated in the air. Boy, why do you always summon us when you are in trouble? No wonder when Tai always gets angry. A slightly sharp female voice came out from the hole in the broken wall. Chapter 402. Then a hoarse male voice responded, "Forget it, old woman. Little Jiraiya must have a reason, right? Shut up, old man. I'm sorry to bother you after not seeing you for a long time, big brother, big sister." Jiraiya's voice sounded, and his tone was respectful. Looking at this conversation, why does it feel like the so-called immortal is a toad? Since there is a white snake immortal, isn't it normal for there to be a toad immortal? It's very appropriate for the toad immortal Jiraiya to summon the toad immortal. They look like 2 old toads. Seeing Jiraiya's respectful attitude, I don't know how capable they are. But boy, didn't you say that you can't please girls like this, so you don't want to change your body into this? The male voice asked. Jiraiya replied, now is not the time to care about these trivial matters. After all, the opponent has the Samsara eye. Wow, the 6 paths eye, that kind of thing really exists. Yes, that's why I want to ask you two to help me. Get ready. Jiraiya's figure appeared from the gap in the wall, and his face was stained with red eyeshadow. His pupils turned into toad pupils, and his normal nose turned into he has a red nose and a short white beard on his chin. Oh, is this Jiraiya's Sage Mode? It's really different from Naruto's. If this is the advanced form of Sage Mode, Naruto should not learn it and directly transition to the golden form. It's so ugly. Compared to Naruto, who only has his eyes turned into toad pupils, Jiraiya has too many toad features. Is it true that the less he looks like a human, the stronger the power that Sage Mode can exert? It's really possible. Isn't Kabuto also a snake? Maybe this is the essence of Sage Mode. The closer your body is to the summoned beasts of the inheritance land, the stronger the power of the celestial arts will be. The reason why Kabuto is so snacky is because he swallowed Orochimaru. Even without the Sage Mode, he is still a snake. Looking at the eyes cast by the people at the conference table, Jiraiya smiled awkwardly. Excuse me, I haven't practiced it yet. If it was the perfect Sage Mode like Naruto, this change would not happen. It is the long-cherished wish of every teacher to be surpassed by his own students. I envy this very much, Inoki said with emotion. 2 short old toads stood on Jiraiya's shoulders on both sides. They were the 2 great sages of Myoboku Mountain, Fukasaku and Shima. It took so much effort to summon those 2 toads. No, the teacher himself has also changed. Whether it is Orochimaru or Jiraiya, the 3 ninjas have unique powers. Seeing Jiraiya's changes, the animal path secretly analyzed the situation. So, where's the Eye of 6 Paths? Fukasaku looked around but didn't see the expected opponent. Shima squinted his eyes and said, "You're old and your eyes don't work well. Isn't this old toad with a white beard the toad that sent a message to Konoha in the previous story? I thought it was just an ordinary toad, but I didn't expect it to be a sage. With such a small body, it must be impossible to use physical skills like the big toad just now. In other words, in terms of ninjutsu or genjutsu, do these two toads have any unique features? Even if these two old toads don't take action, Jiraiya has entered the Sage mode now, so he should be able to deal with the enemy by himself. After all, there is only one of them now. No, he hid his whereabouts in the transparent summoning beast, so I opened the detection barrier for the time being. Jiraiya began to explain, and Shima Sage said impatiently, "How long do we have to wait? I'd better use biological detection to force him out of his true form in one go." Fukasaku Sage asked Shima Sage to be calm, and after being retorted, he asked Jiraiya, "But little Jiraiya, why did you summon us to fight him?" With a gloomy face, Jiraiya whispered, "He used to be my student. Why have I never heard you mention it? If it's true, that guy is." The originally careless Fukasaku Sage suddenly became serious. Jiraiya knew what the subtext was, and nodded to admit it. Why is this old toad more surprised when he heard that the other party is Jiraiya's student than when he heard about the Samsara? But to be honest, Jiraiya's students are indeed quite extraordinary. The fourth Hokage and Naruto, the father and son, Akatsuki's Pine and Konan, except for Naruto who is still in the growth stage, the others are already the top ninjas in the ninja world. The success rate is quite high. Oh, I found out. Why don't they retreat but fight the enemy to the death in the enemy's base camp? Is there any need to ask this? Except for some intelligence from decades ago, Jiraiya now knows nothing about his two disciples. If they follow Jiraiya to Konoha, it means transferring the danger to the village. Jiraiya is sometimes unreliable, but he is not so irresponsible as to do such irresponsible things. At this moment, the scene changed, and a big old toad wearing a doctoral hat and Buddhist beads appeared on the sky. The young Jiraiya half knelt below, listening to the old toad telling the so-called prophecy about him. "In my dream, you who only know that you are lustful will become an outstanding ninja in the future, and you will have a disciple who can stand on your own. That disciple will bring great changes to the ninja world. Bringing unprecedented stability or destruction to the world, that is, one of these two changes." Back to the present, as an eyewitness, Shima Sage naturally knows about this and can't help asking, "The child of prophecy? Then why do you still want to fight him?" "Oh, this big toad sage can also predict. I wonder if it is accurate? How does it compare with Saichian? Saichian is not good enough, she can't even kill Naruto." As long as one prophecy fails to come true, the accuracy of the other prophecies will be greatly reduced. However, looking at this serious performance, its prediction for Jiraiya should still be credible. Chapter 403. Did they say that the child of prophecy was Naruto before? How come it's Nagato now? This prophecy is ambiguous. It's the kind of nice words that you can find matching characteristics if you put a person into it and think about it, but it's all nonsense if you think about it. All the situations are mentioned. As long as one of them happens, the prophecy will be fulfilled. From this point of view, Saichian's foresight that can even see the specific scenes is much more powerful, bringing unprecedented changes to the ninja world. Naruto is stability, Nagato is destruction. The prophecy didn't say how many children of prophecy there were. Maybe there were two of them, and they were just in opposite positions. Tisk, why did the future of the ninja world inexplicably fall on Jiraiya's students? Should we be responsible for his behavior without knowing it? Why? I don't have any opinion on this. After all, the strong have the power to represent others, but the key is whether we can change the object to entrust the future to. I always feel that Jiraiya is not very reliable. Unreliable? These words are really heartbreaking. Jiraiya smiled bitterly. When he was a child, he did have the idea of doing something big, but he never arrogantly imagined that he would shoulder the responsibility of guiding the future of the ninja world. However, since the great Toad Sage has pointed out the direction of the future for him, Jiraiya can only do his best to do the best, because this is his responsibility, and Jiraiya will never evade it. But now Nagato should have seen the sky curtain this time, and I don't know if his thoughts will change. In this case, will the prophecy of the great Toad Sage come true? Jiraiya was a little confused. After all, he had spent almost half of his life looking for the child of prophecy, but now he was told that the future was likely to have changed. The child of prophecy was already an old version that had retired, and it would be the same no matter who came. Of course, no matter what the future looks like, Jiraiya's current task is to train Naruto into talent. Even if he doesn't have the identity of the child of prophecy, Jiraiya will spare no effort to teach him well just because Naruto's ninja way is so compatible with him. Because he didn't grow in the right direction, and I heard that he was dead before, so I didn't connect him with the child of prophecy. Jiraiya explained, and Fukasaku Sage also expressed his attitude. Anyway, if he didn't take the right path, we have to kill him. What prophecy? It's just the nonsense of that demented old man. Don't take it too seriously. Shima Sage didn't care much about it, but since Jiraiya and Fukasaku Sage had decided to take action, he wouldn't hold them back. Shima Sage opened his mouth and stuck out his tongue. There was a weird face on the tip of his tongue. He sniffed the air and stretched it into the air. Soon he found the invisible lizard. Shima Sage controlled his tongue and shot it out at a very fast speed to tie up the target, making it appear. At the same time, he exerted a strong force and smashed the lizard heavily to the ground. This old toad is really domineering. Does it have to kill others just because they are on a different path from it? Of course, it doesn't mean it has to kill them just because they are on a different path, but the problem is that they are on a path that is heading towards the destruction of the world. In this case, everyone would want to kill them. Listening to what this female toad said, it seems that the predictions of the great toad sage are not very accurate. Looking at the serious look of Jiraiya and the other toad, it doesn't seem fake. I don't understand. Oh, I have to take back what I said before about the two old toads' poor physical skills. Judging from the performance of the lizard being thrown to the ground without any resistance, the two toads are more powerful than expected. After all, Jiraiya spent a lot of effort to summon them, and they are also called sages, so they must be very capable. Fukasaku spit out a water blade to kill the lizard, revealing the animal path hidden in its body. Is that the Samsara eye? It is exactly the same as the eye in the legend. An ominous eye. I didn't expect this kid to be the son of prophecy. Senran Fukasaku and Senran Shima expressed their opinions one after another. Jiraiya stared at the animal path opposite him, and the second half of the prophecy given by the great toad sage sounded in his mind. You will become the guide of that reformer. One day you will be forced to face the day when you will be forced to make a major choice, and the choice will determine the direction of world change. The current situation corresponds to this prophecy. The key is the description of being forced. That's why Jiraiya didn't think of retreating back to Konoha to get help. Does he think it's his responsibility? It's indeed his responsibility. He taught this person who wants to destroy the world. Isn't it natural for him to deal with it? It seems that Jiraiya is bound by this mysterious prophecy. If there is no such prophecy, his policy can be more flexible. The existence of the child of prophecy itself is quite unreasonable. This kind of future that is destined to be realized is hard to accept, whether it is good or bad. Anyway, everything is destined. Then is there any need for us to work hard? Just lie down. What's there to be discouraged about? Changing the destined future, did Naruto show us that time in the land of demons? But to be honest, if you know that the future is good, will anyone go to the trouble of changing it? That depends on how determined Naruto's enemies are to change the future. If they work hard enough, it is not impossible to change this bad future for them. Because Jiraiya went to a meeting, Naruto came to the training ground alone to meet Kakashi and the other two. After seeing the various discussions about the children of prophecy on the sky screen, Naruto frowned and muttered, "What children of prophecy? Why do they like to predict my future? I don't even know who they are." Kakashi heard his complaints and said, "Naruto, this is different from the previous witch's prediction of your death. If you are really the child of prophecy, you will bring unprecedented peace to the ninja world. This is a feat that even the first generation of Hokage has never accomplished." Chapter 404. Naruto replied indifferently, "Even if he is really the son of prophecy, can I become Hokage and bring peace to the ninja world by relying on this title without doing anything now? In the final analysis, it depends on my own efforts." Sasuke, who was listening to their conversation, nodded secretly. He also agreed with Naruto's answer. After all, no one hated the arranged fate more than him. This kind of destined feeling was completely erasing their efforts for this, which Sasuke could not tolerate. Nagato lowered his head and coughed lightly a few times. Jiraiya told him the content of this prophecy decades ago, and Nagato had always taken it for granted that the person in the prophecy who would bring unprecedented stability to the ninja world must be him. But now, after knowing the loopholes in his plan, Nagato realized that he was probably the son of prophecy who represented destruction, and Naruto represented the side of peace. However, Nagato could never accept that Naruto, who held such naive ideas, could bring real peace to the ninja world, because it made Nagato's past action seem like a joke. You can give me the child of prophecy if you want it, Uzumaki Naruto. But I will definitely find a plan that can truly achieve peace, and I will never give in to that. In the Pure Land, after listening to the complete prophecy of the great Toad Sage, Uchiha Madara's attitude was similar to Nagato's, and even more disdainful. Although he didn't know Naruto's specific approach to achieving peace, with his naive character similar to that of Senju Hashirama, Uchiha Madara knew without thinking that Naruto could only think of empathy, which was essentially the same as what Senju Hashirama did at the beginning. For Uchiha Madara, who pursued eternal peace, this kind of short-term peace was never within his consideration, and he naturally sneered at the so-called child of prophecy. Although it's just a boring prophecy, it also points out the opponent I need to face in the future. Uzumaki Naruto, it depends on whether you can maintain this destined future under the command of Uchiha Madara. Big Toad Sage, this is the time to make a decision. Jiraiya thought so, and immediately made up his mind and said in a deep voice, "You are the one who brings destruction, so defeating you here is my mission as a master." At this time, the animal path summoned the human path and the hungry ghost path. Seeing the two people who raised their heads and showed the same samsara eye, Jiraiya showed a puzzled expression. "Three people, what's going on? There are actually three people with samsara eye? Is it that guy's ninjutsu? I'm afraid there is some mystery in it." Although he was a little confused, Jiraiya immediately cheered up and smiled confidently. "Then it's almost my turn to play. Start now, replace ninjutsu with senjutsu." Looking up from behind the sky, Jiraiya is a hero. After so much chatter, the fight is finally about to begin. Only 3 people were arranged to fight, and 3 more were lurking in the dark. In this situation where the enemy is in the dark and I am in the light, it is not unfair for Jiraiya to lose. Let's not talk about the unknown ability, which is the same for both sides, but hiding 3 opponents is very fatal. With this tactic, I can think of several ways to deal with Jiraiya. Jiraiya shook his head and gestured, preparing to improvise a kabuki, but just as he started, he was punched in the face by 2 toads on the left and right. "Don't scream in our ears, too." Jiraiya was very depressed by these 2 punches, and then the 2 toads suddenly quarreled across Jiraiya. Just as Jiraiya was speechless, Renji and Ao rushed over without saying a word, and Jiraiya, who reacted instantly, kicked him hard in the face, knocking him away and blinding him. Okay, you two should stop arguing and get rid of these guys," Jiraiya persuaded. Seeing this, Shima Sage restrained his temper and snorted, "HMPH, how about we eat fried food tonight? Boy, you prepare the oil, and the old man uses wind escape." Tisk, Jiraiya has the habit of not doing things properly in such a serious occasion. Just fight, why dance? So fast. The opponent didn't react at all. I remember Naruto seemed to say that the Sage mode can improve perception. This reaction and counterattack is normal, but the speed is really fast. Under the command of Shima Sage, the 3 put their hands together at the same time, and then puffed up their chests, and oil, wind, and fire spurted out of their mouths at the same time. Senjutsu Gomen. The oil waves in the hurricane was carrying a raging fire. Facing this overwhelming attack, Hungry Ghost Ao calmly leaped forward and stretched out his hands towards the oil wave, swallowing up this powerful magic in an instant. At this time, Jiraiya and the 2 immortals who were standing on the wall and looking down at the situation looked at the oil that disappeared out of thin air and the enemies who were unharmed, with a look of doubt on their faces. In order to understand the situation, Jiraiya kicked off his clogs and lay on the wall like a toad. Let's use close combat to confirm it. Rather than a sea of fire, it's more like a sea of oil. The speed of absorbing ninjutsu is too fast. Such a large-scale ninjutsu is absorbed in less than 2 seconds. I was thinking whether it would be possible to injure the enemy with a large-scale ninjutsu before the ninjutsu is absorbed. Now it seems that I took it for granted. I wonder if the tactic of using a large amount of chakra to kill the opponent will succeed. Jiraiya is becoming more and more like a toad. Is he really relying on this kind of operation to improve his combat effectiveness? After Jiraiya finished speaking, he exerted force on his limbs and shot out directly towards the Hungry Ghost path. Senjutsu, Super Large Rasengan. Jiraiya controlled the Rasengan with a diameter of nearly 10 meters and hit Hungry Ghost path fiercely. Hungry Ghost path still did not dodge and directly stood up to resist his attack. However, it swallowed up all the chakra in the attack in a few seconds. Jiraiya thus confirmed that the opponent had the ability to absorb ninjutsu. At the same time, the human path, who was originally knocked out, came behind Jiraiya in an instant and launched an attack. The tacit cooperation of Fukasaku Sage quickly threw a smoke bomb to hide Jiraiya's figure. Jiraiya also seized this opportunity and punched the human path from behind. However, he did not expect that this surefire punch was blocked steadily by the human path, who could not see. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405. Wow. What a huge Rasengan, haha. I've seen stronger ninjutsu before, but seeing a Rasengan this big is still quite shocking. By the way, can this big guy only absorb ninjutsu with his hands? If so, it wouldn't be that difficult to deal with. When he absorbs ninjutsu, there seems to be a barrier around his body, and when he attacked Konoha before, it seems that he absorbed ninjutsu from all directions. This should not be able to be used, even if the visual problem can be relied on. His companions came to make up for it, but this Pine who was blinded by Jiraiya was too tough. The same was true when he attacked Muai before. The puppet Pine was beaten into that state, but he still had the strength to attack. It is said to be a clone, but each one is obviously a real entity. I don't know the specific principle. After failing to attack, Jiraiya summoned a small toad to jump out of the range covered by the smoke. While attracting the attention of the animal path, he instantly came behind the animal path, and his swollen hair shot out dense needles like a hedgehog. Senjutsu, 1,000 needles. The animal path didn't even look at it, and directly summoned a stone panda to block this wave of attacks. Seeing this, Jiraiya quickly pulled away and reorganized his posture, and then immediately analyzed and thought about the situation he found after this fight. There was no unnecessary movement. I didn't expect him to use summoning to protect his back in this back-to-back posture. To be honest, although each of them can only use the ability of one system, I always feel that they can handle most combat scenarios individually, with stealth, attack, flight and defense. If there are a few more perception and recovery abilities, this guy alone is equivalent to an all-round team. Is this the creation of a new professional school, Beastmaster? Theoretically, it can be achieved, but the problem is where to contract so many summoned beasts with different abilities. This can be compensated by forming a team. Can't we put ninjas with summoned beasts with different abilities into a team? Then what's the difference between this and an ordinary ninja team? Don't think about it. This combat mode is destined to belong only to those gifted ninjas. Not only do they need channels to contract various summoned beasts, but they also need the chakra to support the summoning of these summoned beasts. It has nothing to do with ordinary ninjas, but what is going on? This happened more than once. They didn't communicate with words or use eye contact. Even if the three of them are perception-type ninjas, they have to see with their own eyes what kind of attack the opponent is going to use before they can react, right? Also, among all the techniques I have mastered, the hair needle 1000 is the fastest and has the widest attack range. The only way to deal with it is to use a shield to defend like just now, but he made a judgment without even looking at it. It seems that those guys are not ordinary clones. Fukasaku-sen also raised his own doubts. Did you notice? When we caught a floor behind those guys just now, we locked on a target and attacked from a blind spot, right? At that time, another person other than the target was staring at us. It's already difficult enough, and we have to collect information about the enemy while fighting. Isn't fighting like this? Otherwise, there would be no such saying as ninjas battle is a battle of intelligence. That's why wise men like Nara are rare. I don't know how much trouble I can save in the battle by relying on the information they analyze. Jiraiya said that he also noticed this, so he was sure that the other party did not intend to send signals through eye contact to remind each other. At this time, Fukasaku Sage suddenly had a flash of inspiration and proposed the conjecture that the three people shared vision through the same eyes. Although there was no conclusive evidence, Jiraiya felt that this conclusion should be almost certain, and suddenly felt quite tricky. It's not good. In the case of ninjutsu being ineffective, it is quite difficult to deal with three people. If the battle continues like this, even if I am in Sage mode, I will be killed by them. So at Fukasaku Sage's suggestion, Jiraiya decided to retreat temporarily and think about countermeasures to deal with the enemy. Jiraiya also thinks that he is not a match. Now he has only dispatched 3 people. Although I had expected this, I still felt a little complicated when I heard Jiraiya admit it himself. Jiraiya is already the top ninja in the ninja world. Why would someone as advanced as Pine exist? After all, he is the owner of the Sage's Eye, and is the person who is destined to bring changes to the ninja world in the prophecy of the Toad. It is understandable that his strength is a little exaggerated. If he is only as strong as the cage of each village, no one will believe such a prophecy. In my previous understanding, the cage represents the upper limit of the strength of the ninja world, and the discussion of the strength of those strong people also fluctuates around this benchmark, but now it seems that we may need to expand the upper limit. For example, Pine has obviously surpassed the cage by a level, and he needs to be divided into different standards from the cage. If this is the case, the golden form of Naruto in the future must be at the same level as Pine. After all, the cage clone can defeat the cage. The future Kabuto should also be considered at this level. Even if his original strength is not counted, his reincarnation is enough to put him at this level, not to mention that his original strength is not much weaker. After what you said, I feel that Itachi has also surpassed the cage level. Although he has not shown any dominant strength, the various tactical layouts and the endless Uchiha's true strength cannot predict where his true strength limit is. Okay. If we continue, the ninja world will surpass the cage level per capita, and the cage will become a basic combat unit. In the meeting room of the Hokage building. The masters present looked at each other with different eyes. Although they felt a little unhappy because they were inexplicably dissaid, no one took this debate of strength seriously. After all, the real strength can only be explored through fighting. Yes, they admitted that whether it was the future Naruto or Pine, they were indeed much stronger than them in terms of performance, but fighting was not a simple comparison of numbers. Chapter 406. Attribute restrained. On-the-spot performance and intelligence will all affect the outcome of a battle. Everyone present is at the top of the ninja world, and no one will think that they are not opponents of others before the battle begins. In other words, if they hold this mentality, they will not have the opportunity to gain the current strength. During the retreat, Jiraiya and Fukasaku Sage discussed all the information they had about pain, but when talking about what exactly pain was, they could not draw a reasonable conclusion. So Fukasaku stopped talking about this topic and began to help Jiraiya analyze the ability displayed by pain. The images seen by each of those guys are like 3 cameras that can see different angles at the same time. In other words, as long as one person sees the target, the other 2 can cooperate and take action at the right time without seeing it directly. They have 3 times the field of vision of ordinary people, and unlike the Byakugan, even if they don't make hand seals to condense chakra, they can always keep an eye on each other's blind spots. This is the strongest ability in coordinated operations. By sharing senses to receive more information, and then making a layout based on this tactic is rare, but it is not impossible. The Yamanaka clan of Konoha seems to have a similar tactic. Although it is not like Pine's direct transmission of images, it can also share the information of perceived things. It seems that I have never cooperated with the ninjas of the Yamanaka clan, otherwise I might be able to come up with a countermeasure here. It seems that we can only split them up and fight them. We will definitely win if we fight one-on-one, but how should we do it? Jiraiya said while running, we can't beat them with physical skills, and all ninjutsu will be absorbed. If physical skills and ninjutsu are not good, only illusions are left. Fukasaku Sage gave a suggestion. Jiraiya immediately said that his illusions were completely useless, but then he remembered the 2 helpers on his shoulders. Fukasaku Sage was also unambiguous and said that he could take on this task. Unexpectedly, Shima Sage expressed strong opposition, and the reason was that he was embarrassed to sing a duet with Fukasaku Sage. After some persuasion, Shima Sage finally agreed to this plan, and then Fukasaku Sage explained to Jiraiya, our strongest illusion is to use singing to affect the opponent's hearing and make them fall for it. I didn't know much about Pine, but Jiraiya revealed a lot of his own information. Sage mode requires preparation time, the fastest ninjutsu, not good at illusions, each of which can be used as a weakness by others. If you use these weaknesses with this mentality, Jiraiya might take advantage of them in turn. After all, he knows that these weaknesses are now known to everyone, and he will definitely find ways to improve them. A sound-based illusion? Isn't Orochimaru good at this? That makes sense. Visual illusions may not be effective against pupil techniques such as the Rinnegan, but sound-based ones are different. Even as strong as Sasuke and Itachi's main Gekyo, they were not affected by Kabuto's illusions in this regard. Although this illusion is very powerful, its weakness is that once the sound is made, it will expose your position. In addition, there are combinations between the notes, which means that the enemy must hear the melody to fall into the illusion, and it will take some time before it takes effect. If the enemy grasps our position and chases us before the illusion, we will lose. On the contrary, as long as the illusion works, we will win. Jiraiya stopped moving forward, and after a moment of silence, he said, "If there is a situation that endangers your life, please get off my shoulder and return to Meiboku Mountain immediately." That won't work. This battle is related to the future of the ninja world. Fukasaku Sennin immediately objected, and Jiraiya didn't persuade him much, saying, "I have an idea, but I have to take a gamble. With such a big flaw, why does it feel worse than Tayua's illusion, which works as soon as he blows the flute? The time of the illusion should be paid attention to, but the binding force of the illusion should also be considered. For someone like Tayuya, Shikamaru only had to break a finger to break it. Just think about it, you know it's impossible to deal with an enemy of Pine's level. For these two Toad sages to call it the strongest illusion, you can imagine how strong the binding is. Jiraiya himself is not sure. He obviously has a chance to escape now, because there's still hope of winning. If there are 6 people at the moment, Jiraiya may also escape. After all, he won't run away when he knows he can't win. Why is the so-called prophecy so powerful? Let's stay here and fight the enemy to the death. In a narrow corridor, 2 toads puffed up their throats and made a low frog sound, and the sound spread far away along the pipes fixed on the wall. Such a loud noise would naturally attract the attention of Pine. He judged that it was an illusion cast by the opponent, but the sound source was not far away from them. Out of confidence in their own strength, the 3 Peens rushed directly around the corner and came to the corridor where Jiraiya was. As a result, just as they were approaching Jiraiya quickly, Jiraiya's shadow clone emerged from the wall of the corridor they passed by, and without saying a word, he fired a fire escape, large flame bomb at their backs. In response, Hungry Ghost Road turned around calmly and absorbed the ninjutsu, but this was exactly what Jiraiya wanted. Pine has already judged that this is an illusion. If he ran away and waited for the 2 toads to get tired of singing before coming back, Jiraiya's tactics would have failed directly. That's why Jiraiya started his plan at this distance. If the opponent wanted to distance himself, he might chase him. Pain was very confident and caught up without thinking. Very good, I won the bet. The big guy really went to absorb ninjutsu. The first guy only knew how to use summoning, and the first 2 times he absorbed ninjutsu were all from that big guy. Just as I predicted, each of these guys only has the ability of one system. Now there is a fire in the big guy's eyes, and the other eye is blind and can't see anything. In this way, there is only one pair of eyes looking at me. Jiraiya spitted out a fire escape in front of him. Seeing this, the human path and the animal path immediately jumped high to avoid the attack, but they didn't expect that the human path was bound by its hands and feet the moment it touched the ceiling. The animal path, which was a step slower, quickly changed its action, using the human path as a stepping stone, and flipped over and fell towards Jiraiya. Chapter 407. Suddenly, it feels like it's easy to target someone with a system like Pine. He doesn't even need to think to determine the opponent's action pattern. This is only the case with Pine, who absorbs ninjutsu. Apart from the mind-reading and soul-extracting Pine, the action patterns of the other few have no obvious direction. Action patterns are hard to use. You might think your opponent will stay to absorb your ninjutsu, but if he gets a sudden impulse and dodges your attack and punches you in the face, you'll be left blind. This makes it a one-on-one fight. Jiraiya stomped his feet hard and kicked the animal path in the chest, interrupting his summoning and sending him flying. The illusion of the 2 sages also worked at this time. When the 3 Peens came to their senses, they found themselves trapped in a cube of water, with 4 large toads in armor spreading their palms in 4 directions facing them. I've been tricked, the animal muttered. Jiraiya looked at him with a gloomy face. This is the golden binding illusion that can bind the mind. In this way, your bodies will not be able to move. Teacher Jiraiya, I didn't expect you to use this kind of illusion. The animal's expression remained the same. Jiraiya replied, no matter what opponent you meet, you can't be careless. I should have taught you, Nagato. I don't understand why this summoning Pine wants to get close to him. Wouldn't it be better to directly control this summoned beast to attack? just like before. It's tracked as eyes for another pine. The golden binding illusion, it looks like it's of a very high level. It actually directly binds the opponent's mind in an illusion space. Does this mean to separate the mind from the body? Doesn't it mean that the solution that disrupts one's own chakra is used? There is no way to break this illusion. To break this level of illusion, you either need the help of your companions, or you need to have a spiritual power that exceeds your opponent, or you need to use unimaginable chakra to directly break the illusion. I think most people don't have these conditions. Nagato, you got your mission wrong. Jiraiya remembered the little wish that Nagato told him when he was a child, and said in a deep voice, rather than using pain to guide the world, I hope you can use the power that transcends pain to complete this mission. Although we have only been together for a while, I once firmly believed that it was you. Thinking of the prophecy given by the great Toad Sage in his mind, Jiraiya's pupils trembled slightly, and he whispered, goodbye. Outside the illusion space, Jiraiya inserted a huge stone sword into the chest of the animal path, and the human path and hungry ghost path on the side did the same. The two toads coughed violently, then complained a few words. Jiraiya walked away and said comfortingly, thank you for your trouble. You can have a good rest later. In this way, I have made the final choice. I am reluctant, but I will do it when I have to. It is not appropriate to be emotional in this environment. After all, Jiraiya has lived for so long, and he still understands this kind of thing. These three have been dealt with, and the other three will come out soon. Huh? That's not right. Among the 3 people killed here, 2 are in it also appeared during the attack on Konoha. How could he die here? I don't understand. It's the resurrection technique again. No way. I thought everyone was joking when they said the resurrection technique was rampant before, but now it feels like it's coming true. It's the Samsara Eye after all, so it's not surprising that it has any ability. Even the six-path sage himself can't avoid death. There's a difference between death due to old age and death caused by external forces. Don't take it lightly. That's what you taught me, Jiraiya-sensei. A deep voice sounded right behind Jiraiya. Jiraiya's face changed drastically, and before he could turn around, he was knocked flying, smashed the wall and fell on the water outside the building. When Jiraiya stabilized his body, he saw that his left arm was broken at the root, and he was sweating in embarrassment. Without taking care of his injuries, Jiraiya once again entered combat mode. Not long after, 6 figures jumped out from the gap in the broken wall and appeared in front of Jiraiya. Pain 6 paths, hereby present. Just relax for a moment. The situation was reversed immediately. Well, if his arm hadn't been broken, he might have been able to fight against Pine at full strength, but now he has no chance at all. Pine's 6 paths, the Samsara Eye, the 6-path sage, I don't know what the connection is. Look, these 3 guys are resurrected. Jiraiya spent so much effort to kill 3 people, but they turned around and became full of energy again. No, it doesn't cost anything. The resurrection techniques of Sans Village and Kusagakure Village all cost the life of the caster. How can it be as easy as releasing the 3-body technique here? Then what's the point of fighting like this? Even if you use all your strength to defeat the enemy, they will be resurrected on the spot the next second, and you can drag them to death. The other 5 peens know their specific abilities, so the last one will perform the resurrection jutsu, right? In other words, to deal with Pine, we should first kill this guy. Is it Pine's true body that can perform the resurrection jutsu? But I think the guy who keeps giving orders and using repulsion and attraction is the leader. Jiraiya is almost dead, and we still don't know what Pine is. Why don't you run away when you still have a chance? Tsunade looked at Jiraiya with a gloomy face. Jiraiya pursed his lips, and after a moment of silence, he replied, because I still have unfinished work. 1 person and 2 toads showed shocked expressions at the same time. There were as many as 6 people with the Samsara Eye, not to mention the 3 people who had just been solved with great effort, and now appeared in their team without any injuries. It seems that the newly summoned guys have resurrected them in some way. Senjin Fukasaku gave his own analysis, and Shima Senjin looked incredulous. How can there be such a technique to bring 3 completely dead people back to life? Are these guys really human? Chapter 408. Pine, who are you? Jiraiya's expression was solemn. Tendo replied expressionlessly, Pine is the collective name of the 6 of us. Why, 6 of us have the Samsara Eye? Jiraiya was full of doubts. Suddenly, he seemed to see something incredible, and his pupils trembled violently. You are, that face. It's not surprising that you can resurrect now. The key point is what the price of this resurrection technique is. I still can't believe it. How can the dead be resurrected so easily? If this is the case, as long as Pine stays in the base camp, let the other members of Akatsuki go out to fight, there is no need to worry about casualties. Anyway, they can be resurrected. Isn't it? It should require conditions, such as the need for the body to be intact or something like that. It seems that if I encounter members of Akatsuki in the future, I will have to crush them to ashes after victory. Suddenly I remembered that when Pine invaded Konoha, Kakashi also took a lot of effort to kill one Pine. Now it seems that the other party may be able to come back to life soon. At least the information was sent out. Besides, Kakashi was also resurrected later, but Konoha's resurrection technique should not be so convenient. Alice, the enemies in the future are getting more and more difficult. If I don't work hard, I will be eliminated in 2 years. Kakashi sighed softly, missing the enemies who used mainstream ninjutsu in the past. Teacher Kakashi, you are joking. No matter how many times you are eliminated, it will never be your turn. You are a famous copy ninja in the ninja world. Sakura said with a chuckle. Naruto nodded in agreement. Teacher Kakashi is very powerful. According to those who spoke in the sky, he is at least as powerful as a cage. Don't tease me, you two. Kakashi wiped the cold sweat from his head, and then said to Naruto seriously, and Naruto, don't take the cage level as the standard for judging strength. There are many factors that affect the outcome of a battle. Strength is only one aspect. You must never take this as the truth. Is it Yahiko? Jiraiya widened his eyes and asked, what's going on? Isn't Yahiko dead? And there are those eyes. Do you see the shadow of Yahiko in me? No wonder, after all, he was my former teacher. Shiandeo said expressionlessly, but Yahiko has been dead for a long time. The one standing here is Pine. Stop talking nonsense. Why do you have the Samsara eye? Jiraiya shouted angrily, and then asked the questioning Deep Sakusenjin explained, one of my former disciples was among them, but that child didn't have those eyes. Shimasenjin immediately asked, what's going on? Could it be that there are 2 children of prophecy among them? Oh, there's a twist here. The man using gravitational repulsion is Yahiko. Could it be that he took away Nagato's Samsara eye? Is this guy Pine's real body? I don't know if he is confusing Jiraiya's judgment or it's true. I feel that as long as I figure this out, I can know Pine's true face. There are only 2 possibilities. If Yahiko is not dead, it is most likely that he took away Nagato's Samsara eye. If he is dead, it is probably that Nagato has transformed into his image. When attacking Konoha later, didn't Pine, who used summoning techniques, also change his image? Jiraiya realized belatedly that something was wrong. No. After seeing the Samsara eye, I wishfully thought that the first guy was Nagato, but he feels different from the Nagato I know. And after a closer look, none of the 6 people look like Nagato. Instead, one of them looks like Yahiko and has Nagato's Samsara eye. Is it Yahiko or Nagato? Who are you? Jiraiya asked again after thinking fruitlessly, and Shiandeo's answer remained the same. We are Pine, we're gods. Is Pine deliberately hiding something? He's talking about something else. It should be the truth about his ability. This kind of thing must be covered up. He is so strong and yet so cautious. It's normal for Jiraiya to fail. 6 Pines attacked Jiraiya at the same time. Jiraiya, who only had one arm left, struggled to block the punches and kicks of several people. He instantly came in front of Tendo and punched him. After being easily caught by the opponent, Jiraiya looked at the familiar face in front of him's face, questioning, Yahiko, why do you have Nagato's eyes? Even if you know this, you can't defeat us. Shiandeo still didn't answer directly, twisting Jiraiya's arm and throwing him away, and Shiradeo followed closely and fired missiles at Jiraiya. Jiraiya was blown away and fled in a panic. Then he was hit by a huge rock that Shiandeo took from the air and fell into the water. However, Jiraiya took advantage of this opportunity. While hiding his body, he also dragged the animal path into the water. In an instant, he wiped out his breath and disappeared from the perception of Shiandeo and others. Hey, Jiraiya can still fight back in this situation. If he can erase his aura and hide, he should be able to escape from here. The simplest way is to let the 2 toads use reverse summoning. Unless Pine also knows space-time ninjutsu, this trick will work all the time. With one hand broken, it's understandable that he can't use his strength to escape. Why did Jiraiya still die here? It must be because of that prophecy. Konoha, in the Hokage's office, Tsunade stood in front of the window, quietly looking at the rain outside the window. If it's Jiraiya-sama, nothing will happen. That Sama is quite. Shizune started to comfort her when she noticed the atmosphere was a bit dull, but she was interrupted by Tsunade before she could finish her words. That guy won't come back. Tsunade turned around and said to Shizune, who was stunned with a chuckle, "That's how I bet, because my bet is definitely not accurate." "So that's what you mean." Knowing that Tsunade's mood was fine, Shizune left the office to handle her daily work. Tsunade also looked out the window again, thinking back to the pretentious words Jiraiya said before he left, and couldn't help but smile. Chapter 409. Just pretend. When you come back this time, I won't let you pretend even if you want to. Tsunade, the big fat sheep, finally won a bet, and the result is fulfilled on Jiraiya. It is said that you should not regard Tsunade's gambling luck as some kind of causal ability. Be objective. No matter what she did here, it can't change the fact that Jiraiya is carrying out a mission that is almost certain to die. Tsunade's last sentence is a bit meaningful. That should be what I thought it meant. Jiraiya suffered a great loss. If he can come back alive, he will get what he wants. Tisk, two old guys in their 50s, it feels like I took a bite of expired candy, so choking. Unoki looked at Tsunade and Jiraiya teasingly, but this time he didn't make any jokes, just laughed meaningfully. Tsunade. Jiraiya, who was experienced, naturally heard the subtext of Tsunade's words in the sky, and for a moment, his originally heavy mood was diluted. He looked at Tsunade with a pig-like expression involuntarily, and then she stabbed his eyes and fell to the ground and rolled in pain. Tsunade's face was flushed, and the veins on her forehead were bulging. She closed her eyes shyly and embarrassedly, and did not dare to look at other people's eyes at all. For a while, only Jiraiya's screams of pain echoed in the conference room. In fact, except for Inoki, an old guy who likes to watch the fun, Raza, who is married and has become a widower, and the Raikage who focuses on training blocks, have no interest in this. Only Madarumi, who is eager to get married, looks at Tsunade and Jiraiya with a little envy. At least she has an ambiguous object, unlike her, who can't even find a man who catches her eye in the hidden mist village. The animal path was dragged into the water, and found himself in a trance in a barrier full of acid. Before he could figure out the situation, he was hit by Jiraiya, who had prepared in advance, and the whole person fell directly into the acid. I thought that this would solve the enemy, but I never thought that the opponent had fallen into the acid and still had the strength to attack. The animal path broke through the water surface and pierced Jiraiya's arm and shoulder with a sharp black stick. After completing this last attack, the animal path completely lost its movement. Jiraiya leaned against a stone pillar with a little powerlessness. After breaking the black stick that penetrated his arm and shoulder, Jiraiya suddenly saw a pair of reincarnation eyes staring at him. At the same time, his body began to spasm and his chakra became disordered. Fortunately, Fukasaku Sage reacted quickly and pulled out the black stick on his shoulder in time to calm the situation. Is this extraordinary endurance also Pine's ability? He was hit by a fatal attack, so why can't he die? This extraordinary vitality is very similar to the Uzumaki clan, and with Nagato's red hair, could this guy be? Well, it's probably true, and judging from the color of his hair, Nagato's Uzumaki bloodline may be deeper than Naruto's. What is the Rinnegan after being hit by Pine's black rod? Kakashi had the same experience before. Chakra disorder. Could it be a contact-type illusion? Not only the body, but also the weapon used is so weird. Fukasaku Sage sighed, and Shima Sage bluntly said that the other party was not human. Jiraiya endured the pain and recalled the information he had obtained from the captured rain ninja, and analyzed it quickly in his mind. That face, that guy is undoubtedly Yahiko, but he has Nagato's Samsara eye. Did Yahiko steal it from Nagato for some reason? But, what about the other Samsara eyes? And, Jiraiya recalled the conversation with Nagato in the past. Humans grow because of pain. This view was indeed taught to him, and the animal path said the same thing not long ago. So, this guy is Nagato. It turns out that the ideas that support Pain's actions were taught by Jiraiya. That's not wrong in essence, it's just that Pain expanded the scope without authorization. Both sides have supporting clues. Is Pain Nagato or Yahiko? At this time, the forward bandage of the animal path dissolved and fell off due to the acid, revealing a horizontal scar on the forehead. Jiraiya's face suddenly changed, because he recognized that this was a ninja from the Fuma clan that he had encountered when he was young. Yes, I remember, this guy, it's definitely not Nagato. Jiraiya explained to the two sages, Fukasaku and Shima, I have fought with this man in front of me before. Just when I was following the prophecy of the Great Toad Sage and just embarked on a journey, this man from the Fuma clan attacked me. The scar on his forehead was left by me. Fukasaku and Shima were even more confused after hearing this. At this time, Jiraiya once again remembered the prophecy of the Great Toad Sage. If it is true as the prophecy says, hey, what's going on? Among Pain's clones, there are people Jiraiya knows. The Fuma clan, the small ninja clan that focuses on studying the use of Fuma shuriken. This has nothing to do with the Six-Path Sage, right? Well, Yohiko, who has dead in Pain's mouth, and the man from the Fuma clan, these two unrelated people became Pain and possessed the Samsara Eye. Putting these clues together, the so-called Six Paths of Pain, wouldn't it refer to six corpses? Controlling corpses, puppeteer? Does that mean Nagato has another real body hiding in the dark? But why do they all have the Samsara Eye? Oh, those summoned beasts also have the Samsara Eye? It should be the same situation, so even if you defeat all six Pains, you still have to face Nagato's real body. According to Jiraiya, Nagato's real body must have the ability of all systems. I feel desperate just thinking about it. There are some things I need to confirm in front of those guys. Please go back first, Jiraiya said in a hoarse voice. Fukasaku-sen immediately objected when he heard it. How can that be? If you go out again, you will definitely die. Not only has the number of people on the opposite side increased, but the barrier trap cannot let the opponent fall into it again. Now those guys haven't discovered this place yet. If you want to escape, you can only do it now. Chapter 410. Jiraiya was determined. If I go out now, I may die, but I may also reveal the enemy's true identity. If I miss this opportunity, I'm afraid I will never have such a close contact with Pain again. The only time to see his true identity is now, and now is the time of choice mentioned in the prophecy of the Great Toad Sage. I said, it would be absolutely no problem to escape at this time, but Jiraiya went back to die. It's a bit too much to say that he is going to die. Now he is only one step away from the enemy's true identity. What's more, this trouble is caused by Jiraiya himself. Besides, there is a so-called prophecy pushing him to act. It is almost inevitable that he will reach this point. I feel that this prophecy, like the agreement between Sakura and Naruto, has become Jiraiya's curse. Maybe it's because he's too responsible. Maybe that's why he's the one who guides the child of prophecy in the prophecy. Why, you guys took the big toad's words seriously. Isn't there a possibility that he's wrong? It brought unprecedented changes to the ninja world. If you think about it carefully, the stories shown on the sky screen seem to have happened in the next few years. From this point of view, it seems to be some kind of omen. Boss and Big Sister, please take back the information about Pain so far, as well as this corpse of Pain, and then tell Tsunade. Fukasaku suddenly interrupted Jiraiya and said, leave it to the old woman. You have to come back before dinner. Shima Sage also replied calmly. Well, after we are done, I'll go back with Jiraiya to eat. Listening to their conversation, Jiraiya lowered his eyes and whispered, thank you, a lot. Under the water, Jiraiya and Fukasaku were spit out by a gourd-shaped toad. They slowly emerged from the water and attracted the attention of the five Pains with a huge shuriken. These two toads have set a great flag. Jiraiya would be embarrassed if he didn't die after saying such a thing. Hiss. That's how Jiraiya confirmed the situation. He should at least make a shadow clone to deal with it. How can he use a shadow clone when he only has one hand left? Unless Jiraiya has practiced one-handed seals or no-seal techniques, he can't use most ninjutsu now. Jiraiya hurriedly observed their appearances. Whether it was fate or coincidence, Jiraiya actually recognized all five of them. It's true. These guys are all ninjas I've seen. All the information he had so far was connected, and Jiraiya had a flash of inspiration. Really? I know your true identity, Pain. However, at the moment when he figured it out, four Pains leaped high into the sky and attacked. Jiraiya, whose attention was diverted, was caught off guard and was directly grabbed by the throat by Shirado, who jumped out of the water. Little Jiraiya. You found it too late. In the calm voice of Tendo, 5 pins simultaneously pierced Jiraiya's body with black sticks and nailed him to a small floating island. Are you kidding me? You actually recognize them all. What's the probability of this? Did Nagato deliberately find everyone Jiraiya had met and make them into pins? Are you sure he's not leaking information to Jiraiya? Nagato frowned deeply. He had no idea that a 6-paths puppet had actually crossed paths with Jiraiya. They were obviously just puppet materials that he had collected casually. Is this fate? I was unconsciously led by fate, just to let Jiraiya see my true face at that moment. Nagato was not very willing to admit this, because if he admitted it, it would mean that everything he did had been arranged in the dark, which is why he was so reluctant to be the son of prophecy. Nagato. Konan looked at him worriedly, and Nagato lowered his head and asked in a vague tone, Konan, do you think our meeting is also the guidance of fate? If there is no fate, maybe I would die in that heavy rain. I don't know what fate is. I'm just very glad to see you in that heavy rain. You and Yahiko are my light and your guidance. Only then can I be who I am now, and only then can I be the angel Konan now. Konan answered gently. Yes, whether it is fate or not, it is the greatest happiness of my life to meet you. Happiness. Nagato cheered up and said firmly, so I will never give up Yahiko's dream. Since Uzumaki Naruto can change his destined fate, then I can do it too. I don't understand why Jiraiya is so obsessed with following the prophecy. Now that he knows the true face of Pine, what's the problem? It depends on whether he has a backup plan to pass on the information next time. However, even if he has fallen into such a situation, Jiraiya still hasn't forgotten his mission. He opened his mouth to convey the information he found to Fukasaku Sennin, but he could only open his mouth suddenly and couldn't make any sound. No, my throat is damaged. Jiraiya was extremely unwilling, but he couldn't stop his eyes from gradually losing their spirit. Damn it. How can I? No, my consciousness is beginning to blur. Am I going to die? Failed. The scene changed, and the young Jiraiya appeared in the sky, looking at the rock statue of the Hokage while writing his own novel. What? Did you prepare a backup plan? It's gone just like that. Even the revolving lantern has come out. What else can Jiraiya do in this situation? No way. His mission as a guide ended so anticlimactically. What's the use of the information that only he knows? Konoha can still use the impure world reincarnation to summon him for questioning, but this operation is too hellish. Just think about it and you know it's impossible. Lecherous sage. Naruto looked at the sky with a sullen face. Even though his reason told him that what happened on the sky had nothing to do with the present, he couldn't help but feel nervous when he saw Jiraiya fall into such a situation. Akatsuki, Pine. At this time, Jiraiya's voice sounded as a narration. Ninjas live in a world where life is light and death is heavy. The value of a ninja's life is not determined by how to survive, but by what they do before death. Chapter 411. Looking back, my life is full of failures. I was always rejected by Tsunade, failed to stop my friends from leaving, and couldn't even protect my disciples and teachers. Compared to those Hokage who have achieved great things, what I have done is not worth mentioning at all. They are all boring things. I also want to die in a blaze of glory like the previous Hokage. What are you talking about? Is this the humility of a strong man? Jiraiya, who is known as the legendary Sannin, one of the top ninjas in the ninja world, if his life can be said to be a failure, then what about a mediocre person like me? The standard for defining success and failure depends on how high everyone's expectations are for themselves. For someone like Jiraiya who carries the ninja world on his shoulders, a life without achieving his goals may be a failure for him. As Tsunade said, Jiraiya has always been upset about Orochimaru's departure. Did he let him win in the previous Sannin duel? Emotions are emotions, but reason is Chishin should still take action, just like he could ruthlessly attack Pine. Boring. Orochimaru has to himself, the value of a ninja can only be reflected when alive. There is no meaning in death. It is because of this naive idea that you will die so miserably. Jiraiya, whether a story is exciting or not is always determined by the ending. Failure is also a kind of fun. I firmly believe that this kind of trial can hone myself so that I can continue to move forward, and then achieve great achievements that can erase all previous failures, and die gloriously as a great ninja. It should have been like this, but this ending, I will actually die like this. According to the prophecy of the great Toad Sage, I am the guide of the reformers of the ninja world. The choices I make are related to the stability or destruction of the ninja world. I will defeat pain here, stop Akatsuki, and save the ninja world. In the end, even this choice failed. It's really embarrassing. Jiraiya's heroic story ended like this. What a boring story. What's wrong with you people in Konoha? Why would someone regard saving the ninja world as a life ideal? You act so noble, and it makes us who are against you become bad people. Haven't you figured it out yet? This is all Konoha's conspiracy. What kind of things do humans have a strong desire to protect? Of course, it's something that belongs to them, which means that the people of Konoha regard the ninja world as their own. Asshole. Jiraiya-sama is screwing over the ninja world. I am heartbroken that there are still people slandering him here. It is because of his noble character that Master Jiraiya became the guide of the Child of Prophecy. You who are jealous of grapes, please stop fanning the flames here. What are you fanning the flames for? In the end, he did nothing and left a mess for the ninja world. Brother, I feel like it's a bit early to say this. Judging from the past development of Shenmue and the current plot, Jiraiya will most likely have more actions in the future. Consciousness has begun to disappear. Can it be possible to resurrect? If it is true, it would be outrageous. It is impossible to happen, so it can only be called a miracle after it happens, right? So far, hasn't the Sky Curtain shown miracles several times? Then why can't Jiraiya regain consciousness here? The Sky Curtain has really changed the ninja world a lot. Originally, ninjas should be the group of people who least believe in miracles. Anoki said with emotion, this kind of emotional infection, even an old man like me has begun to believe that miracles will happen to you, Jiraiya. The real miracle is not me, but Naruto. Jiraiya responded with a chuckle, it is because he has done many impossible things that I, as a master, can get his glory. The Child of Prophecy. If it weren't for the exposure of the Sky Curtain, who would believe that the ordinary child would have such ability? Terumime said with envy, why don't they have such a person in the Mist Shadow? The world really favors Konoha too much? No, that's not true. This story is great. The scene changes again. In a home environment, Minato is sitting at the dining table, holding a novel and saying to Jiraiya sitting opposite him, the stories in it are all adapted from the teacher's various legends. Just like an autobiographical novel, the protagonist of this book never gave up until the end. It's so cool. He and your teacher really look alike. Is that so? Jiraiya was embarrassed by the praise, and said, but it can't be sold at all. I want to add some of my expertise next time. Hey. The scene here was shown after the Lowland mission not long ago. I didn't see clearly what the fourth Hokage was holding before. It turned out to be Jiraiya's Tenchi Ninjutsu. I wanted to buy it in the bookstore after I learned about this book, but I couldn't find it. There was only Jiraiya's Intimate Paradise. Because the sales are not very good, the print run is not large, and it is indeed difficult to buy. I just read it 2 days ago. To be honest, the plot is quite boring. I thought the writing was so bad because it was a debut work. It turns out that it didn't write about what Jiraiya is good at. I can prove that the novel is well written and full of life, so I have an idea. It would be great if my unborn child could become a ninja like the protagonist, Minato said with a smile. Well, can I name my child after the protagonist in this novel? Jiraiya was a little surprised. Hey. Is that okay? That was just a random name I thought of while eating ramen. Naruto? That's a great name. Kushina came out of the kitchen with a big belly. Looking at the happy smile on her face, Jiraiya touched the back of his head and laughed. Ha ha ha, come on, I'll be the one who named him. Do I really have the qualifications? Is the protagonist in the novel also called Naruto? No one said it? After I saw that the protagonist's name in the novel was the same as Naruto's, I knew where his name came from. I also thought of ramen, and I didn't expect to guess it right. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412. Naruto's parents named him so casually. If the whole story is not explained, most people will associate Naruto with ramen, especially since Naruto likes ramen so much. As long as the person involved has no objection, why should others worry about it? Naruto felt his eyes sore and pursed his lips to stop the tears from flowing. I like my name very much because it was given by my parents and the lecherous sage. Sasuke looked at Naruto with red eyes with complicated eyes. Knowing that Naruto's name was given by people who loved him and that Naruto was born in the expectation of his parents, Sasuke felt that if they quarreled again in the future, he seemed to have no right to say that Naruto did not understand the feelings between relatives. You are qualified because you are a teacher. You are a great ninja with true ninja talent. There is no ninja better than you, Minato said seriously. Jiraiya was stunned and saw Naruto in the cradle in this revolving lantern. Yes. That's right. I once gave that child, the child who shouted that he would definitely become Hokage, the child who never gave up no matter what. His determined figure appeared in Jiraiya's memory. Naruto, now that I think about it, you are just like the protagonist in that novel, inheriting the beliefs and expectations of Minato and Kushina. In comparison, Jiraiya, the author, didn't notice that Naruto was very similar to the protagonist in his novel until he died. Maybe it's because Naruto has always been unreliable. Compared to Nagato, who has the obvious sign of the Rinnegan, only a prophet could have judged that Naruto was someone who could bring changes to the ninja world before he grew up. It was only before he died that I suddenly realized that he had actually completed his mission. Minato's praise for himself and what he had said to Orochimaru during the decisive battle of the three ninjas about the true talent of ninjas also emerged in his mind at this time. Speak your mind, do what you say, and never give up easily. If this is your ninja way, then Naruto, as your master, how can I give up easily? Because, Jiraiya, who had stopped breathing, slowly propped up his body. The disciple's ninja way must be inherited from the master. Isn't that right, Naruto? Did you survive again with perseverance? Fukasaku looked incredulous, and Pine, who was about to leave, also noticed this. The heart should have stopped beating. It's really a miracle, but I like this development. The human body is amazing. With perseverance, you can come back to life after death. Did Pine want to leave directly like this? At least he should have collected the body for Jiraiya. Fortunately he didn't do this, otherwise Jiraiya would have really had no chance. At Jiraiya's signal, Fukasaku immediately understood, tore off his cloak and exposed his back. Jiraiya stretched out his hand, and a faint chakra flame ignited on his index finger, and wrote down the information he had obtained on Fukasaku's back. After completing this last action, Jiraiya smiled with relief, even though the blood had dyed his entire chin red. Never give up, this is the real choice I should make. Naruto, I am sure that you are the child of prophecy, and everything from now on will be entrusted to you. Pine naturally saw Jiraiya's move to leave the information, and Shirato directly sent a rocket punch towards Fukasaku Sage, but was unable to stop Fukasaku Sage from leaving. The rocket punch shattered the floating island under Jiraiya, causing him to fall directly into the sea. The last action delivered half of Pine's intelligence to Konoha. If it weren't for Jiraiya's intelligence, Pine would have attacked Konoha later, and Konoha's casualties might have been even greater. Do we have to take this step? There are obviously other ways to go. The body slowly sank, and Jiraiya had a smile on his face without any regrets. Jiraiya's heroic story, this is a bit more decent. The final chapter, the frog in the well dissipated in the volume of the sea. It's also quite decent. Okay, it's almost time to put down the pen. By the way, what should the sequel be named? By the way, Uzumaki Naruto's story. Well, this is good. In the forest, Naruto was jumping between the trees and suddenly felt someone patting his shoulder. He quickly stopped and turned his head as if he had sensed something, but I didn't see any figure behind me. In Konoha, Tsunade sat in a pavilion, drinking wine and looking at the lake view beside her, speechless for a long time. This is the end of Jiraiya, the three ninjas, buried in the sea. For a ninja, it can be considered a worthy death. Although I don't want to admit it, I have to admit that it is a very exciting story, and Jiraiya is worthy of the name of a hero. It is enough to be comforted to have a disciple who is capable of inheriting his own ninja way. I really envy Konoha for this. Whether it is Shikamaru or Naruto, it is really lucky for a teacher to have such a disciple. It's telepathy again. To be honest, this is actually a secret technique developed by you, Konoha. Don't make such a joke. What else can this secret technique do except make you feel bad? The lecherous sage. Naruto pinched his thigh tightly to prevent himself from crying. Kakashi, who was paying attention to him, sighed. Naruto, cry if you want to. No one will laugh at you. Why are you crying? The lecherous sage is not dead yet. Naruto responded stubbornly. Hokage building, in the meeting room. Jiraiya looked at his own ending and smiled without hesitation. Jiraiya Hero Story, Uzumaki Naruto Story, what a great name. What's so great about it? Do you think it's cool to die like this? Tsunade turned her head and glared at him, causing Jiraiya, who had a bright smile on his face, to freeze instantly. No. You must report to me everything you do in the future. If I find out that you do anything dangerous without permission, I will break your legs and send you to the hospital. The scene changes to Konoha, Naruto's home. Naruto lay on the bed with a listless face, but at the call of Kakashi who came to his window, he quickly changed his clothes and came to the Hokage building, and then saw the figures of Gamabunta and Gamakachi lying outside the building. Chapter 413. Hey? Gamakachi and Gamaji. Naruto put his hands in his pockets and asked curiously, why are you here so early in the morning? What happened? Gamakachi was about to speak, but Bunta immediately interrupted him with a sharp voice. Confused, Naruto followed Kakashi to the Hokage's office, where the other two members of Team 7 and Fukasaku were waiting for him. You are here to announce Jiraiya's death to Naruto. Even during the war, Konoha has never suffered such a big loss. As a result, 3 important people died in a row because of a mercenary organization. Tisk. Are you still looking at Akatsuki from the perspective of a mercenary organization at this time? No matter how much you don't want to admit it, the top combat power of this organization has exceeded any of the 5 major ninja villages. As long as the middle and lower level combat power is supplemented, it will immediately surpass Konoha and become the #1 force in the ninja world. As soon as he entered the door, everyone looked at Naruto with worried expressions. In his puzzled eyes, Fukasaku Sage said, is this child the disciple of little Jiraiya? Yes, he is Uzumaki Naruto, the child of prophecy we just talked about. Tsunade responded. An old toad? What? Naruto pouted and looked confused. Tsunade said quickly, hey. Watch your words, Naruto. This is Master Fukasaku, one of the 2 great sages of Mount Myaboku. He came here because he has something to talk to you about. Fukasaku said, to be exact, they are the 2 great sage toads. But that's not important. You are indeed Jiraiya's disciple, right? Naruto is just as usual. He is always rude to people he doesn't know. You are so thick-skinned. Didn't you notice that the atmosphere is wrong? Jiraiya. What are you doing? Naruto pointed at it with an unhappy look on his face and said, why do you talk about the lecherous sage like a child? Where are you from, old toad? Didn't I tell you not to be rude? This is the sage who taught Jiraiya sage arts, and his master. Tsunade shouted. Naruto was still confused. What does this sage want from me? How should I put it? Well, I'll tell you first. Sage Fukasaku lowered his head slightly, and said with a heavy expression, little Jiraiya died in the battle. What? Naruto asked back expressionlessly. He wondered if he had heard it wrong. However, in the silence of the crowd, Naruto realized what Fukasaku said and subconsciously began to evade. You? What are you talking about? Hell, when I get angry, I will scold you no matter who you are. No preparation at all, just say it directly. Then what else? Do you still need to express it in a tactful way? The sacrifice of close people, this kind of thing should have been adapted to long ago. He is 15 or 16 years old. In the past, at this age, he may have seen more dead people than living people. Fukasaku began to tell the whole story of this mission, including that the Hidden Rain Village is the headquarters of Akatsuki, the leader of Akatsuki is Jiraiya's disciple, and the legendary Samsara Eye. Little Jiraiya, whose throat was damaged in the battle with Pine, left me the last message before he fell. Fukasaku said as he untied his cloak and exposed his back to everyone. This is what he left. However, Naruto didn't even listen, and asked in a deep voice with his head down, did you let him go? Tsunade looked at Naruto deeply and admitted it directly, so Naruto's emotions immediately burst out. Why allow him to do this? You should know the character of the lecherous sage better than anyone else. Let him go to such a dangerous place alone. Naruto was incompetent and angry. It's obvious that Jiraiya, as the head of Konoha, as a senior official of the village and one of the 3 ninjas, how could such an extremely dangerous mission be entrusted to anyone else besides him? Not to mention that it was proposed by him. As a village leader, you cannot be emotional. If you always hold the mentality of not letting your companions do dangerous things, then you don't need to do anything. If Naruto becomes the Hokage, he may really handle all the dangerous things by himself. He has never changed his behavior of leading by example since the beginning. Don't say it, Naruto. You can't not understand the feelings of the 5th generation. Kakashi interrupted Naruto. Tsunade couldn't help but think of the heroic words that Jiraiya said to her before he left, and said nothing. Damn it. Naruto also knew that his emotions were not right. He clenched his fists and turned around. Just leave. If the lecherous sage becomes the 5th Hokage, he will never let Tsunade take this risk. No one tried to stop Naruto, as they all knew it would be better for him to be alone. Naruto walked out of the Hokage building dejectedly, recalling every bit of his past with Jiraiya. He was completely immersed in his own world until he ran into Iruka on a street. Naruto came back to his senses. As usual, Iruka praised Naruto a few words and invited him to eat ramen together, but this time Naruto directly refused. Looking at his leaving back, Iruka showed a worried look. I remember that Naruto seemed to like ramen the most. It seems that he was really hit hard. Although Naruto was also sad about Asuma's death, after all, there was a layer of relationship between them. This time, Naruto really felt the sadness after the sacrifice of a close person. Don't forget that Kakashi also died later, and Iruka almost died at that time. No wonder Naruto has grown so much in such a short time. Pain is indeed the best catalyst for a person's growth. Late at night, Naruto walked alone on the street. After buying a double-handled popsicle from a convenience store, Naruto sat on a bench on the street and quietly watched the melted ice water drip onto the ground. The water stain quickly expanded. Naruto had a blank expression on his face, but tears could not stop flowing out, with unspeakable sadness in his eyes. Naruto. Iruka came over and sat next to Naruto. I heard about Jiraiya-sama. I wish he could always watch me. I wish he could watch the moment I became Hokage. Naruto's voice was filled with tears, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. All along, the lecherous sage has only seen my embarrassing side. Chapter 414. This is the nth time Naruto has cried, once for Gaara, once for Haku, once for Sasuke, but compared to that, this time still looks the saddest. Do you want Jiraiya to see the moment when he becomes Hokage? Maybe he will appear after the sky curtain, so it can be realized in advance. You said such a spoiler. I just want to share the joy with my master. How can it be compared with a situation that is open to the whole ninja world? That silly boy. I made as many embarrassments in front of him as he did. Jiraiya smiled faintly. Although Jiraiya didn't care much about his own death, seeing that his disciple was so concerned about him, Jiraiya felt that he would have no regrets even if he died. Of course, it would be best if he could not die. If he could see the day when Naruto became Hokage and changed the ninja world, then his life would be even more perfect and sublimated. At the training ground, Naruto pursed his lips, sniffed his nose, and said with disgust, "That guy's crying is really ugly." "I don't think so." Kakashi said to Naruto with a smile, "I don't think any teacher would feel ashamed of a student crying for the death of his teacher. Jiraiya-sama always praises you, saying that you are like his grandson, and he always speaks of you with great pride." Iruka said in a gentle voice, "He always believes that you have inherited his will and has no doubt that you will become Hokage. Jiraiya-sama is always watching you, even now. If he sees you so depressed, how can he continue to praise you? So, you should be like before, be someone he can always praise, don't be depressed anymore." Iruka walked up to Naruto, took the double-handled popsicle in his hand, broke it apart and handed one to Naruto. "You are recognized by Jiraiya-sama, one of the 3 ninjas, an excellent disciple." Taking the popsicle from Iruka's hand, Naruto smiled faintly with tears on his face. "Thank you, Mr. Iruka. I understand the truth." But Naruto recovered too quickly. It shows that he has grown up. He knows that crying here is useless. He still has to move forward. Iruka's words have a certain effect, but the more important thing is that Naruto can figure it out himself. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade handed the code photo left by Jiraiya to Shikamaru and asked him to take it to the code interpretation class for interpretation now. Now? The people in the code interpretation class should have gone home by now, right? Shikamaru raised an objection, and Tsunade bluntly said that this was an order and let Shikamaru take full responsibility for this matter. Looking at Tsunade getting up and preparing to leave, Shikamaru subconsciously stopped her and said, "Where are you going?" "I came here for something else." "Shikamaru, Tsunade-sama has been busy all day." Sakura interrupted, and looking at Shikamaru who was about to say something, she showed a pleading expression on her face. "Shikamaru, please. In the corridor outside the door, Tsunade, who was walking forward, suddenly leaned against the wall. In her mind, she thought of Jiraiya, his face when he was young, and the young man who was full of vigor but arrogant when they first met. Nice to meet you. My name is Jiraiya. You can give me the love letter later. Please give me your advice. The last memory is frozen in Jiraiya's brilliant smile. Tsunade can't stop crying and gritted her teeth. Big idiot. Hey. Jiraiya when he was a child actually looked a bit like the fourth Hokage. It's like a combination of the fourth Hokage and Naruto, but his shameless personality is far from them. Huh, have you been so frivolous since childhood? MD, I actually feel like crying when I see this. Tsunade is the only one left among the three ninjas, huh? A wonderful life, a wonderful story. Now the story is over. It depends on the newcomers in the future. If I can leave with this ending, then my life will be without regrets. Jiraiya exhaled deeply and said this while ignoring Tsunade's terrifying eyes. Inoki also felt deeply, and responded, not only you, Jiraiya, I think every ninja is looking forward to this way of exiting, and I don't know if I, the old man, will have this opportunity. The sky curtain appeared with the keywords of the next issue as usual. Start extracting keywords for the next issue. Keywords extracted based on the speeches of this issue, randomly selected, confirmed, keywords for the next issue, Child of Prophecy Peace Hero. Looking at the sky that had returned to calm, Nagato retracted his gaze, looked at the cloud village that had appeared in his field of vision, and said to Konan beside him, Konan, just follow the plan I just told you, this time we will take a covert action. Of course, if the two tails and the eight tails have been avoiding us, don't be polite, just let go and act. Let's start now. Summoning Jutsu. At the same time, Kisame and Zetsu arrived at the Hidden Rock Village. Deidara and Sasori were approaching the Hidden Mist Village. Kakuzu and Hidden had sneaked into the Hidden Taki Village, and together with Obito who was dealing with the Wild Three Tails, all the Akatsuki members went out and took action against the seven-tailed beasts. There is no need to elaborate on the process. When the cages of each village came to Konoha for a meeting, even if they had made full preparations before leaving, the defenses of each village were still easily broken through due to the intentional and obvious gap in strength. Among them, Deidara, the art group responsible for the six-tailed beast, held back most of the Mist Ninjas alone, and Scorpion captured the six-tailed Jinchuriki Yu-Gi-Oh in a one-on-one battle. The price was that most of Scorpion's 300 human puppets were destroyed, and even the human puppets of the third generation of Kazekage were irreparably damaged. In Takigakure village, under the leadership of Kakuzu, a local, the immortal duo came to the heart of the village without alarming anyone, and then directly attacked. Not only did they capture the seven-tailed Jinchuriki Kid alive, Kakuzu also massacred the village's high-level officials again. Who let Shianmu remind him of the elders who issued him outrageous tasks in the past. The elders deserved it. Obito finally caught the three tails after a fight, and the battlefield on the Cloud Village side was even worse. It was only because the Eight Tails Killer Bee was smart enough to use the octopus leg clone technique when the situation was not good, hiding it from Pine's eyes and escaping. Chapter 415. The only exception was the Iwagakure village. According to Obito's arrangement, Zetsu is to hold back the five tails, and then let Kisame deal with the four tails, Old Purple. Originally, everything went smoothly, and even after Kisame dealt with the four tails, he might be able to take down the five tails as well. However, all this was a trap set by Inoki. Not only the enemy could use the tactic of dispersing the enemy, but the Iwagakure village also made similar tactical arrangements, so the situation was reversed in an instant. The two Akatsuki were surrounded in reverse, and Zetsu's frontal combat power was insufficient. Fortunately, he was the best in the ninja world in terms of escaping skills. When he saw that the situation was not good, he directly emerged into the ground and left the encirclement. Kisame, on the other hand, transformed by fusing with Samehoda and performing a large-scale water explosion wave to delay for a while, and then with the cooperation of Zetsu, he successfully left the Iwagakure village by disguising himself as a white Zetsu. In fact, Kirigakure and Kumagakure also made counterattack arrangements, but Deidara, who was in charge of Kirigakure, had such a huge advantage in the air that most of the attacks from the Kirigakure ninjas could not even touch him, so naturally, it was impossible for him to pose any substantial threat. As for Kumagakure, haha. Let's put it this way, if the sky curtain had not happened to reveal some of Pain's information, causing Nagato to change some of his ideas in the middle of the process, he would have been able to directly defeat Kumagakure. For this reason, the so-called counterattack preparations naturally could not have any effect on him, even if Pain's information had been basically exposed. Nagato, who returned to the Hidden Rain village on the giant summoning bird with the two unconscious killer bees disguised by wooden men and octopus legs, cast a sealing technique on the two and said to Konan, "Konan, we will pass by Spring Country next. There is a gold exchange place that I secretly occupied. I have made arrangements there, which should be able to hide from Zetsu's detection. For a period of time, I will trouble you to guard these two guys there. Before we decide the outcome with Afeti and find the true path to peace, these two Jinchuriki are our key bargaining chips. Moreover, there seems to be some secret hidden in my Samsara eye. Before we figure it out, we must be cautious with the outer path demon statue." "I know." Konan nodded and accepted the job. She has always unconditionally supported Nagato's actions. Suddenly, Nagato's expression moved slightly, and his eyes stared at Killer Bee, who was sealed by him. "I don't know what he did." Killer Bee, who was originally lying on the bird's back motionless, exploded with a burst of smoke and turned into an octopus leg. "I was tricked," Nagato said in a flat tone. "Are you going back to hunt down the Eight Tails again?" "No, even if he's lucky this time, we don't plan to do anything with the Eight Tails in his body for the time being, so let him stay in Kumagakure," Nagato answered, then took out a scroll to put away the octopus legs, and pointed at the two wooden men and said, "This way, you only have one person left to guard, which is more convenient. I have already cast a sealing technique on her, suppressing her and the tailed beast chakra in her body. As long as there is no external force, the seal will remain effective." Konan said she understood. In this way, Akatsuki's capture operation was completed, and a total of 4 tailed beasts fell into their hands. The news did not reach Konoha until 3 days later, so the meeting was held urgently again. "We can't let Akatsuki continue to act recklessly. We must fight back. I will immediately go back to the village to form an army and flatten the Hidden Rain village." The Raikage slammed the table hard, roaring with veins bulging on his face. "Please be patient, Lord Raikage. We can't let Akatsuki go, but it's not realistic to mobilize all the troops to attack the Hidden Rain village, because besides Akatsuki, there are many other things that are as important as this one, and we must make proper arrangements," Anoki said calmly. "That's because the Jinchuriki of your village was not captured by Akatsuki, so you can say these words here with great righteousness now. The grumpy old man is so angry now that he wants to confront people as soon as he finds a chance." Hearing this, Anoki was about to retort with a few sarcastic remarks, but at this time, Terumi Mei interrupted and said, "Please calm down, Raikage-sama. Although our village's Jinchuriki has also fallen into the hands of Akatsuki, I agree with Tsuchikage-sama. There are many things that need to be dealt with urgently, and we simply cannot concentrate our forces to deal with Akatsuki. Let's not talk about anything else. Now the Lowland ruins in our Wind Country are the top priority. I think no one here wants people to wantonly change the past history and affect the current ninja world," Rosa said in a calm tone. To be honest, if possible, he actually wanted to let the Sands village take the Dragon Vein, a killer weapon, for itself, but the current conditions obviously do not support his idea. He took the initiative to propose it here, which made him appear fair and generous, laying the groundwork for gaining a dominant position later. Not only the Dragon Vein, didn't we agree before that during the rest period before the third exam, we should discuss a disposal plan that is in everyone's interest for the various people and things exposed by the Sky Curtain in the past few months? These things will inevitably involve a large amount of combat power in each village, so it should be impossible to solve Akatsuki in a short time." Tsunade gave her own opinion. Anoki no longer had the idea of confronting the Raikage, and said calmly, "In fact, there is a slight mistake in the direction of your thinking. Yes, I admit that the combat power of the top of Akatsuki has exceeded that of any of our 5 major ninja villages, but because of this, the number of people we really need to deal with is quite small. In this case, what we should do is not to arrange a large force to attack the Hidden Rain village, but to form an elite team to implement the decapitation tactic. It's easy to say. Each member of Akatsuki is equivalent to the combat power of several teams, and the combat power of the leader Pain is even more comparable to that of a large team. In this case, forming an elite team to attack will not only involve a large amount of combat power, but also it is better for the 5 major countries to work together to solve the Hidden Rain village once and for all. The Raikage still maintained his original opinion. "Please listen to me first, Lord Raikage," Anoki said expressionlessly. "The members of Akatsuki are very strong, but we don't need to deal with all of them at once. We just need to slowly reduce their combat effectiveness. Through this dismemberment action, we won't be involved in too much combat effectiveness. And I have another suggestion, that is, each village should deal with its own rebel ninja, so that while understanding the enemy's fighting style, it can also save some combat effectiveness. After dealing with this part of people, the remaining members of Akatsuki, who do not belong to the 5 major ninja villages, will form a joint force to attack." Chapter 416. As long as we stagger the time, we are still confident in dealing with such a force whose combat power is far inferior to ours. I'm afraid they will all hide in the Hidden Rain village. If they keep hiding, we can't do anything," Terumi Mei said. If the leader of Akatsuki wants to gather all members in the Hidden Rain village, then we can just wait for Akatsuki to fall apart. I don't know about other people, but it's impossible for Deidara to be trapped in a place for a long time. If he does, he will definitely turn the place upside down," Anoki said confidently. For a moment, the meeting room was quiet. Seeing that no one expressed clear opposition to Anoki's proposal, Tsunade concluded, "Everyone has no objection, right? Then we will follow the plan of Tsuchikage-sama. Among the members we know so far, Deidara is a traitor from Iwagakure village, Scorpion is a traitor from Sand village, Hashigaki Kisame is a traitor from Mist village, and although we don't know the specific identity of Afei, he is definitely from the Uchiha clan, so we will be responsible for it in Konoha. The remaining Nagato, Konan, Kokuzu, Hidden, and the black and white-faced weirdo are from Rain village, Tokigakure village, and Yugakure village respectively. Since Kumagakure has no target, please ask Raikage-sama to choose one person as the target of the expedition. If the expedition goes smoothly, we can reduce at least 1/3 of Akatsuki's combat power in one fell swoop. Choose the 2 who are known as the Immortal Duo. With all their information, it is not difficult to deal with them." Raikage had a sour face, but he also cooperated and chose 2 people as targets. "Anoki, there is one more thing we need to prepare in advance, because we need to concentrate our efforts to deal with the remaining people of Akatsuki in the end, so each village needs to send some people in advance to form several teams to adapt to each other's cooperation first, so that it will be convenient to arrange action plans later. Rosa, just gather people together for training? This will take a long time to get used to each other, and they may not be useful when the time comes. Anoki, so we need to give them a clear goal. It just so happens that in addition to Akatsuki, there are a few guys who are eyeing the 5 major countries. They are just the targets of the expedition. There is no better cooperative training than actual combat. Midorumi, actual combat targets. Hyde, Shannon, Fanghu and Nuteo, etc. Anoki, no wrong, originally Orochimaru and Kabuto Yakashi were also on the list, but in order to prevent them from jumping off the wall and cooperating with Akatsuki, they are temporarily excluded and we will find an opportunity later. Hearing Anoki mention Orochimaru's name, Jiraiya, who was listening, hesitated for a moment and interrupted, "Why don't I take charge of Orochimaru? I will try to keep him neutral or lean towards our position. Do you still have illusions about him?" Tsunade glared at Jiraiya. "I know you have been brooding over his departure, but he is no longer the same as us. If you go to contact her, the danger is no less than if you go to face Pine alone, especially with your current mentality." Speaking of this, Tsunade suddenly realized something, and her expression he said seriously, "By the way, you are not planning to go to the Hidden Rain village to meet your disciples, are you?" Don't make me sound powerless. If I have to go to see Orochimaru, I will definitely pay extra attention. Besides, we have known each other for a while, and that guy won't attack me for no reason. Jiraiya looked a little helpless. "As for what you said about going to the Hidden Rain village to meet Nagato and the others, to be honest, I do have this idea." Seeing Tsunade open her mouth to refute, Jiraiya quickly interrupted and said, "Don't be anxious, I didn't say I would go now. I haven't trained Naruto yet, how can I put everything aside and run to meet them now? Even if I really go, I may not die in their hands. Now I have already got their information in advance, so it is not a problem to protect myself when I want to escape. Tsunade, no matter what the situation is, I will not allow you to go to see them alone. You said you have their information, but in turn your information has fallen into their hands. Who can predict the final result if a fight really breaks out? Tsunade, This is my responsibility after all. Jiraiya replied with a gloomy face, those children are my students. I can't just watch them go astray and do nothing. I didn't know before, but now that I know, and after the sky curtain, I have some confidence in convincing them. I have to try it anyway. Must go. Yes, I must go. Looking at the two people who were staring at each other stubbornly, Inoki interrupted and changed the topic. Okay, you guys can discuss this issue later. As for the solution to Akatsuki, just follow what I said just now. I will have people select the candidates for the joint team after I return to the village. You all should hurry up. Let's discuss the handling of other things next. The 5-cage talks are over. Inoki, Ai and Madarumi were eager to return to the village to clean up the mess. They had no time to participate in the third Chunin exam. They returned with a group of people in a hurry the next day after the talks, leaving only the students who took the exam and the Jonin who led the team. Rosa stayed as a guest, ready to return with the students who participated after the exam. In addition to reaching an agreement on the handling of Akatsuki, this meeting also made arrangements for the things that were previously exposed by the sky. Among them, the sealed monsters were temporarily left and not destroyed, ready to be destroyed in the future. After thorough research, see if you can guide its power back to the Shrine Maiden Shion, so as to strengthen her predictive ability. It's not that the 5 major ninja villages suddenly became helpful good people, but under the influence of the Sky Curtain, who knows whether there will be more terrible or even unsolvable enemies in the future. Having one more person with predictive ability is always a guarantee. Anyway, the country of ghosts is just a small country. Even if the Shrine Maiden is 10 times stronger, it can't turn the world upside down. After Heian agreed to the Grayer Mine, the 5 major ninja villages are ready to concentrate on research and development. The relevant personnel have set out in advance to build a research institute near the mine for research. The results will be provided to the ninja world under appropriate conditions. Chapter 417. Among them, the research of Grayer's power is naturally the top priority. In addition, the sealed space-time cave left in the ruins is also part of the research. Even if the principle of this thing cannot be figured out, as long as we can find a way to bypass the restriction that requires the power of the royal family to unlock the seal, then this space-time cave can become a very useful insurance and an emergency mechanism for certain dangerous objects. For example, the Paradise Box under the Ghost Lantern City. That's right, the 5 major ninja villages decided to move the Paradise Box here, and this notice has been sent to the Kusagakure village. The Kusagakure elders who were exposed to have ambitions to conquer the world naturally did not dare to refuse. Although the entire ninja world now knows that their plan is a joke, the 5 major ninja villages cannot remain indifferent to this. As a punishment, the 5 major ninja villages decided to let the elders of Kusagakure guard the Ghost Lantern City together. After all, the Ghost Lantern City also needs some people to suppress the scene, and no one is more suitable for this position than the Kusagakure elders who are good at binding techniques. Of course, all this must be done under the supervision of the 5 major ninja villages. The treatment of the dragon veins refers to the treatment plan of the Grayer ore veins, but it is more important. After all, it involves the power of time travel. In the case that they cannot dominate alone, the 5 major ninja villages naturally have to limit the covetousness of others here. After all, no one wants to wake up one day and find that the whole world has changed. Finally, it is the treatment of the Snow Country. Originally, after knowing the ambition of Finghan and Nuteo, the treatment of the Snow Country should be similar to that of Kusagakure village. However, on the one hand, Finghan and Nuteo is not an ordinary ninja after all, but a daimyo of a country. In order to avoid stimulating the daimyo of other countries, it is not convenient for the 5 major ninja villages to directly attack him with great fanfare. On the other hand, Finghan Zyaksu has entrusted Konoha to escort her back to the country, and has clearly stated that she will fight against Finghan and Nuteo to regain the position of daimyo later. For these 2 reasons, and the fact that Fuuka Nuteo was not a big threat, the 5 major ninja villages chose to let it go for the time being, and waited for Fuuka Koyuki and Fuuka Nuteo to come to a conclusion before taking further action. However, the result was basically foreseeable, and the so-called follow-up action would probably only remain verbal. Against this background, the 3rd round of the Chunin exam began. Due to the unprecedented unity of the 5 major countries, and the fact that all kinds of troublemakers were busy with their own affairs, the Chunin exam was successfully carried out to the end without anyone disrupting the situation. In this exam, Not to mention other ninja villages, there were 3 people who successfully promoted to Chunin among the Konoha Jinan, namely Niji, Shikamaru and Shino. Naruto was very dissatisfied after learning the result, shouting that something must have gone wrong, and then reluctantly stopped protesting under Tsunade's scolding. Fortunately, at least Sasuke did not become a Chunin, which made Naruto feel a little comforted. The Chunin exam ended without any waves, and Team 7 returned to its usual mission life again. This time, their mission is to escort Fenho's Iakusu back to the snow country and provide assistance in her actions as appropriate. The mission level is A level and above. Out of protection for Naruto, Jiraiya accompanied him on this mission, but he would not take action except in critical situations. Uchiha Itachi, who was arranged by Tsunade to rest and recuperate in the base of Harajin for a period of time, also secretly followed the team after obtaining Tsunade's consent. With such personnel arrangements, it is difficult to say whether Tsunade and Jiraiya are secretly planning something, such as hanging those ambitious people who have some thoughts about Naruto. Sitting in the carriage, Jiraiya was bored and writing something, looking at Naruto who was scratching his head and cheeks and fidgeting since the team set off, and said dissatisfiedly, "If you really can't hold it back, go talk to that female star. Why are you being so shy here?" I'm a little embarrassed." Naruto touched the back of his head awkwardly. "Although we are already familiar with each other on the Sky Dome, this is the first time we meet. And the princess on the Sky Dome, she even kissed me. Is it the pure love mode now?" Jiraiya muttered. Sakura looked at Naruto's useless look and laughed. "Naruto, when did you become so timid? This is not like your usual self at all. And it was just a kiss on the cheek, and it happened on the Sky Dome. Look, Princess Koyuki didn't care at all. She took a photo with me and signed it just now." "What? Sakura, you already got the autograph." "Not only Sakura, but Sasuke got it too," Kakashi interrupted. Looking at Sasuke, who turned his head away and didn't want to pay attention to him, Naruto looked incredulous. Arrogant Sasuke also asked for an autograph. "You've already signed a contract, why don't you get one for me too?" "What are you talking about? You're the last one." Sasuke glared at Naruto. Seeing that the two of them seemed to have returned to the atmosphere of getting along in the past, Sakura covered her mouth and chuckled. "Princess Koyuki is probably waiting for you to ask for an autograph in person." "Damn it. It's just an autograph. Look, I'm going to ask for it right now." Naruto was ready to jump out of the car to ask Fenho's Iakusu for an autograph. Just then, the skylight suddenly lit up, and the 9th viewing began. Naruto's movements paused instantly, and the other people in the team also skillfully stopped their work and focused their attention on the skylight. As the skylight lit up, the young Sarutobi Hiruzen appeared on the skylight. He was seen holding 2 bells in his hands and showing them in front of the young Jiraiya, Orochimaru and Tsunade, and said with a smile on his face, "There are 2 bells, and if there are only 2, it means. Is there someone going to be eliminated?" Orochimaru replied in a flat tone. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not hide his appreciation in his tone when he heard it. "You are very sharp, Orochimaru. If I get the bell, go on a date with me." Jiraiya looked at Tsunade with interest, and Tsunade said with disdain, "If you lose, don't bother me anymore." Okay. It's settled. A new episode is here. By the way, have you heard the latest big news? Akatsuki attacked Iwagakure, Kumagakure, and Kurigakure at the same time. Kumagakure's 2 tails and Kurigakure's 6 tails have fallen into their hands. That's not all. Tokigakure village was also invaded. Not only was the 7 tails captured, but all the village leaders were killed. Now Tokigakure village is almost shut down. Are they not going to hide at all? They just picked 3 of the 5 major ninja villages to attack. Chapter 418. If the 5-Cage Summit had not been held at that time, and a large amount of combat power had not been concentrated in Konoha, I even suspect that Akatsuki would have attacked the 5 major ninja villages at the same time. Is this a desperate move or is it a plan? Will a war start next? Even though it was exposed, Akatsuki not only did not restrain itself, but instead directly attacked. No matter how you look at it, it must be the latter. If the 5 major ninja villages can't swallow this, the Ninja World War may really break out. Although I don't want to participate in the war, this situation should be okay. At least without Kabuto Yakashi's and Pure World reincarnation, our chances of winning should be pretty good. I'm afraid Akatsuki is already in contact with Orochimaru. If they really cooperate, the battle on the sky screen will really happen. No. I don't want to fight. And Naruto is only 12 years old now. He hasn't grown up yet and can't hold up the overall situation. So we can't win without Naruto, right? Are you underestimating those top ninjas? No, we can't win, but the situation will be more difficult than on the Sky Curtain. After all, the strength of the people who were resurrected by the impure world reincarnation is still the same, and several of our people who can support the overall situation are just beginning to emerge. You can't say that the current Gaara can be compared with Gaara after becoming the Wind Shadow. Naruto, Sasuke, Gaara, Temari, Daru, Amoy, these young ninjas are still in the growth stage. Even Kakashi, who has been famous for a long time, is weaker than the future. In this case, we need to make greater sacrifices. It is normal to worry about this. Forget it, don't think about it. There are tall people to take care of this kind of thing. We just follow the crowd and act accordingly. Is the story played on the sky screen today about the past? The three ninjas were still so young. What are they doing? Grabbing the bell? Konoha's custom, the first lesson for becoming a Jonin. Hey. It's the same as when we graduated. Have you guys also grabbed the bell, lustful immortal? Naruto asked curiously. This is the first lesson of Konoha ninjas. It has been used since the second generation of Hokage established the ninja school. Kakashi explained. Naruto and Sakura were immediately interested when they heard it. They wanted to see how the young three ninjas would perform in this lesson. Even Sasuke couldn't help but turn his head and watch it seriously. But Jiraiya, as the person involved, was a little embarrassed. Because if he remembered correctly, it seemed that he would be embarrassed next. Are you kidding me? Don't broadcast this kind of thing. It's embarrassing. Can't you show the great achievements of this immortal like last time? Looking at their faces, they should be only 5 or 6 years old. Has Jiraiya been so lustful since he was young? He is too precocious. Was Orochimaru like this when he was a child? I finally understand why the third Hokage liked him more. A good-looking boy, but he made himself look like that. What a sin. The training began. Jiraiya, hiding behind a big tree, looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was sitting on a wooden pillar not far away and eating without any defense, and the two bells he placed beside him. Thinking that he had discovered the opponent's flaw, Jiraiya did not miss this opportunity. He ran out from behind the big tree and pounced on the bells. Then, the next second, his feet were tied up with ropes and he was hung upside down on the big tree in an awkward manner. The scene changed. Jiraiya was tied to a wooden pillar with a depressed look on his face. Tsunade proudly showed the bell in front of Jiraiya, and said with a smile, Jiraiya, I won the bet, and you are the one who was eliminated. Stop talking nonsense, you washboard Tsunade. What did you say, you damn pervert? Jiraiya's performance is really the same as Naruto. I thought it was Naruto because of his different hair color. It's a pity that there are no scenes of the other two people taking action. I also want to see Orochi when he was a child. How powerful is Meru? Usually in this kind of training, the letting Jonin will use shadow clones, but at this age, Sarutobi Hiruzen is still in his prime. Even if it is just a shadow clone, two children who have just become Jonin can snatch the bell from him, which shows how powerful they are. You keep telling me how powerful you were when you were a child. Naruto looked at Jiraiya with contempt. You actually stepped into that trap. Don't brag in front of me in the future. Stop talking nonsense. That was just my carelessness. Jiraiya immediately echoed back. Besides, how dare you laugh at me, kid, laugh at me. Didn't you fall into a similar trap yourself? A trap for catching small animals. It was just an accident. Sasuke sneered as soon as he heard it. When snatching the bell, this guy was just like you, swaggering towards the bell, and then was hung up. Asshole Sasuke. You are so jumpy today. Do you want to fight with me? Looking at the threatening Naruto, and then looking at Jiraiya tied to a wooden stake on the sky, Kakashi smiled lightly, feeling emotional. This is the inheritance, and it's just like Jiraiya-sama was carved out of the same mold. It's true that the title of pervert is hung on Jiraiya's head. Aren't girls of this age washboards? You can't expect them to start growing up at this time. After all, when they grow up, they will be that size. It seems that it is not impossible to say that Tsunade will start growing up at this time. Oh my. What are you guys discussing here in all seriousness? Sakura ignored Naruto's quarrel, stroking her chin and looking at the sky in deep thought. Tsunade-sama, is it a natural development or a special method? Ask her again after the mission is over. Tsunade grabbed Jiraiya's collar, and the two of them glared at each other. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who couldn't stand it, stopped the quarrel and let Orochimaru and Tsunade leave first. Then he said to Jiraiya speechlessly, "You are such a ninja, but you always fall into such obvious traps. What is this?" Jiraiya pouted and didn't know how to answer, but Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately saw the reason. "You should be missing a target. By the way, there's still the trick." Sarutobi Hiruzen bit his finger and performed the summoning technique in front of Jiraiya. Seeing the suddenly appearing Sarutobi, Jiraiya's eyes lit up and he immediately became interested. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419. Ha to immature brats. It's so interesting to see how these famous ninjas behaved when they were young. This teaching method is so casual. You can even fall into that trap. Jiraiya needs more basic training. It depends on each person's personality. Sometimes having a specific goal can really motivate people to make progress. Sarutobi Hiruzen explained the principles of summoning. After listening, Jiraiya couldn't wait to sign a contract with a Sarutobi. Then he heard Sarutobi Hiruzen respond, "That won't work. Everyone's fate is different. The creatures that can be contracted are also destined. What creatures can I summon?" Before signing the contract, you have to refine more chakra and learn to make hand seals. Although he was impatient with training, Jiraiya, who had achieved his goal, began his serious training from that day on. Refine chakra, practice hand seals, walk on the mountain wall with boulders to exercise physical strength. Although these are just some ordinary training, for a 6-year-old Jinan who just graduated, this amount of training is already very considerable. This is the first time I heard that the summoning beast of a ninja is determined by fate. Why do I feel that since the saying of the child of prophecy appeared, these people have become weird? What fate is involved in learning the summoning technique? It should be just a perfunctory of the third Hokage, asking Jiraiya not to focus on the summoning beast. That day, Jiraiya, who was exhausted and fell on the edge of the cliff, was a little depressed. Why do I have to practice so hard? But when I thought of Tsunade actually saying that she would find a man, friends would only consider Orochimaru and would never be interested in him. Jiraiya immediately became energetic. The answer is simple. I want to become the strongest ninja and make Tsunade change her mind. If that's the case, there's no time to dither. Jiraiya, who was in high spirits, once again devoted himself to training. With a great wish of grabbing all the beautiful girls, Jiraiya quickly became familiar with the hand seals of the summoning technique. Then, during training one day, he performed the summoning technique directly without establishing a contract, and summoned himself away. Looking at it, the corners of her mouth suddenly curled up. I wonder if Tsunade now will feel embarrassed to see what her childhood self said. It's probably impossible to find Orochimaru as a boyfriend now. We can only be sisters. Well, the young version of Orochimaru on the screen is indeed very handsome. He has the kind of look that little girls like, that is, Sasuke's type. Tisk. Why are you broadcasting such an embarrassing scene? Damn Jiraiya. Damn Orochimaru. Tsunade looked at the screen with a toothache. This time it was Shizun's turn to tease her. I didn't expect that Lady Tsunade was so lively when she was young, and so was Lady Jiraiya, but Orochimaru is nothing like him when he grows up. Humph. Who could have thought that Orochimaru would become that kind of ghost when he grows up? Tsunade snorted coldly, and then talked about her childhood openly. That guy was very popular with girls at school at that time, and I did have some feelings for him, but now it seems that it's a good thing that I didn't make a move at that time. Otherwise, watching your man become your sister, I think anyone would go crazy. Well, even if you want it, Orochimaru may not agree. Shizun's mind flashed this thought, but for the sake of her own safety, she didn't say it out loud, but continued to tease. So now, Lady Tsunade has given the opportunity to Lady Jiraiya? He clearly refused when he was a child. Both of them are not good. Do I have to choose between the two of them when I choose a man? Tsunade looked furious, but it just made Shizun laugh even more happily. Not only did the 3 members of Team 7 all worship the 3 ninjas as their teachers, but their personal labels are similar to theirs. Isn't this also some kind of fate? Then Sasuke should be thankful that he dealt with Orochimaru early, otherwise he would have become Sasuke when he grew up. Alice, Who would have thought that this boy with a simple dream would become the one who determines the future of the ninja world when he grows up? It's unusual to have such a dream at this age, okay? I didn't have such an ambition until I was 16. Naruto looked at Jiraiya with contempt. What have you been thinking about since you were a child? Your dream is to be popular with girls. It's so far from my dream. Stop talking nonsense. What do you know, little kid? Being popular with girls is the dream of every mature man. I have had this dream since I was a child, which only shows that I have been a very mature person since I was a child. This is a unique talent. Jiraiya shouted shamelessly, making Kakashi, who was listening to them, sweat involuntarily. It was obvious that he had just shown the performance of a great ninja last time, but now he destroyed his image here. No wonder Kakashi felt ashamed. Really, Kakashi teacher, what do you think? Do you have this dream too? Naruto suddenly looked at Kakashi and asked. Kakashi didn't expect that the fire would burn him here, and subconsciously picked up the intimate paradise to cover his face. This, I don't quite understand. This action is already an answer. Sakura looked at Kakashi speechlessly and complained mercilessly. After a dizzy spin, Jiraiya found himself in a strange place, with stone statues of toads everywhere, waterfalls flowing with oil, and various enlarged plants. Before Jiraiya continued to observe the surrounding environment, he saw that not far away, a toad bunta, who was a few sizes smaller, was confronting a blue snake with patterns. Jiraiya didn't think much about it, and rushed directly between the two, and threw the snake that attacked him into the sky cleanly. Well, a human child. Bunta came closer, and Jiraiya looked at it in surprise. The toad spoke. I'm shocked. It's obviously a human, but it can come to this Myaboku mountain. Puff. What the hell? There is such a use for summoning. They are all toads. This should be Mount Myaboku. Jiraiya must have teleported himself here. Although I know that summoning is a kind of space-time ninjutsu, I never thought that this would happen if I used it before signing a summoning contract. Chapter 420. I didn't understand why the manuscript on the study of the summoning technique forbids the use of it before signing the contract. So this is the reason. Will it teleport you away? In fact, most people will not have any accidents if they violate this prohibition. I heard that it seems to be a problem of adaptability to space-time ninjutsu. So those who want to learn Jiraiya's method and run to Myaboku Mountain should forget it. Even if it really happens, they will most likely be teleported to other places. In the past, many people have died in this way. Why do I feel that what the third Hokage said seems to be true? Jiraiya was randomly teleported to Myaboku Mountain. It was really fate that guided him to sign a summoning contract with a toad. Don't think too much about this kind of thing, otherwise you don't have to do anything in the future. Just wait for the guidance of fate. Under the leadership of Bunta, Jiraiya came to the Toad Oil Waterfall and met the sage Fukasaku. Fukasaku was not surprised at Jiraiya's arrival. When Jiraiya asked him, he said that these were all things that the great Toad Sage had predicted long ago, including Jiraiya's appearance and that he would get his own prophecy later. After hearing this, Jiraiya couldn't wait to ask, if that human is me, what is the prophecy for me? Fukasaku said that he didn't know either, and asked Jiraiya to stay in Myaboku Mountain to practice while waiting for the prophecy of the great Toad Sage, but Jiraiya couldn't accept it and just wanted to go back quickly to please the girl. Don't complain. This is your destiny. Being able to come to Myaboku Mountain is proof that you have been chosen as the child of destiny. Fukasaku scolded with a serious expression. Although Jiraiya was a little reluctant, the title of the child of destiny sounded pretty cool, and he could continue to become stronger. So Jiraiya agreed to Fukasaku's request and stayed. Although I know it's because of the prophecy, I'm really envious of the opportunity to learn Senjutsu so easily. To become the top ninja, you can't do without two factors. Either luck or talent, but in the final analysis, it still depends on luck, because talent, blood, resources, family background and other advantages are all determined by luck. For example, the number of people from the Uchiha clan who become strong is more than that of other ninja clans. The above is brainwashed by the theory of destiny. If everyone holds this idea, then I can guarantee that Naruto will never become that kind of strong man in the future. Okay, what are you talking about? Now we are watching Jiraiya's story. Well, lecherous sage, didn't you say that I have to wait until I grow up a few years and have more chakra before I can start practicing sage mode? Then why can you start practicing at such a young age? Naruto found the bright spot. Jiraiya explained, That's just a preparatory step for practicing Sage Mode. The purpose is to calm the mind so that you can better perceive natural energy. Don't you know what state you are in? You are so energetic, like you have ADHD. In order to make it easier for you to practice Sage Mode in the future, accumulate more chakra, which will give you more trial and error costs. Besides, there are still many things you need to learn at this stage. Why are you in such a hurry? I'm just asking. Naruto muttered in reply, stretched out his hand to condense a Rasengan in his palm and then disperse the chakra, repeating the process to familiarize himself. After that, Jiraiya traveled between Meiboku Mountain and Konoha, practicing both ninjutsu and Sage Mode. Although he had made enough efforts, on the one hand, the difficulty of practicing Sage Mode was extremely high, and on the other hand, the talents of his two teammates were also better than his, so in his daily performance, Jiraiya was still the last one, often dragging others down in various training tasks. Fortunately, this situation did not last long. Jiraiya, who was gradually improving in his practice of immortal arts, slowly caught up with Orochimaru and Tsunade. During this period, he also successfully signed a summoning contract with the Toad of Meiboku Mountain. In this way, Jiraiya spent his teenage years. Is Jiraiya talented or not? His action pace has always been dragging down his two teammates, but he seems to be very successful in practicing immortal arts. Please, pay attention to their age. Those who can convert their talent into strength at this age are rare in the entire ninja world. A temporary lag does not mean anything. Isn't it catching up quickly? Anyone who really thinks Jiraiya has no talent is too stupid naive. A few years have passed. On this day, Jiraiya was practicing immortal arts as usual. Leaning against a wooden board, Jiraiya sat cross-legged steadily on the top of a sharp stone pillar. I have indeed become stronger after coming here, but Tsunade is still as cold as ever. Thinking of this, Jiraiya shook his head slightly. No. As a person chosen by fate, the goal is just to be popular with girls. Is this really okay? Am I going to become stronger just for this? At this time, the arrival of Gamabunta interrupted Jiraiya's practice. It turned out that the Great Toad Sage had received a prophecy about him. Jiraiya, who was impatient, came to the Great Toad Sage's seat under the guidance of Bunta to listen. Hey, is this the process of practicing immortal arts? This action is to sense natural energy, right? Then if I replicate the environment, can I try to train myself? There are still people who hold this idea now. It has been said for a long time that the practice of Sage Mode is quite risky. If you are ready to give it a try, you might as well give it a try, but there is a high probability that you will not be able to sense natural energy. Even if you can sense it, I think the possibility of success is absolutely ridiculous. After all, it is a fairy art that is regarded as a trump card by Kabuto Yakashi, and even Orochimaru cannot master it. Before the prophecy, Jiraiya's reason for becoming stronger has always been that such a dream cannot support his life, so he is confused now. After getting the prophecy, it is good to have a dream that you put your whole life into. At least it is much better than simply chasing girls. Now everyone respects Jiraiya as the hero. Jiraiya, Chapter 421. Perhaps due to his age, the Great Toad Sage's memory has deteriorated a bit. He forgot Jiraiya twice in a row when they were face to face. Fortunately, with the reminders of Fukasaku and Shima, the farce was finally over and the matter was finally settled. Then I'll tell you. In my dream, even if you can't do anything except being lustful, you will become an outstanding ninja one day, and you will even accept apprentices. Although Jiraiya was a little speechless about the evaluation of can't do anything except being lustful, he didn't refute and continued to listen. Your disciple will bring great changes to the ninja world in the future. This is what I dreamed about. No, this big toad sage looks old and confused. Can his predictions be taken seriously? But judging from the development of the story last time, the prophecy did come true in Jiraiya. It's the same way Shion predicted it, both rely on dreams. The predicted picture must not be as clear as Shion's, otherwise she would have directly told Jiraiya what his disciple looks like, so that Jiraiya doesn't have to guess it himself. The subsequent prophecy is the content about the changes in the ninja world that was exposed by Shion last time, including Jiraiya's identity as a reformer and guide, and that he will be forced to make a major choice in the future. What should I do? How can I make the right choice? Jiraiya asked nervously, and the Great Toad Sage replied, in the dream, you traveled around the world and wrote a book. Write a book? Why? I don't know the reason, maybe because you want to see the world. Master, the prophecy has been wrong so far. Jiraiya asked seriously, and after a moment of silence, the great Toad Sage smiled and replied, no. Tisk. Even the identity of the novel author is due to the prophecy. It feels like Jiraiya has been tied to this inexplicable prophecy all his life. However, the facts prove that Jiraiya is a very successful author. If it were you, you would insist on doing it even if you knew the correct development path. Take other unfamiliar routes. The originally vague prophecy has become a career guide. I also want to consult about the career that suits me. After the conversation, Jiraiya packed his luggage and changed into a dress suitable for a long journey. Bunta beside him looked at his movements and asked, Jiraiya, are you finally going to travel? Yes, I can't guide the reformers now, let alone make the right choice. I need to increase my experience and meet more people. Jiraiya put on his backpack and left without looking back. First, just like the dream of the master, I will travel around the world and write a book. I want to see what my destiny looks like. Just as Jiraiya began to embark on his life journey, the flames of war gradually ignited in the various countries in the ninja world, and the peace that had been maintained for nearly 20 years began to become precarious. Based on this background description, World War II is about to break out. The three ninjas became famous in this war. I wonder if there will be a battle scene between them and Hanzo of the Salamander. Looking at Jiraiya's face, he is probably in his 20s, which is late compared to those who became famous in their teens. Before the ninja world had a big mess, most celebrities' fame was accumulated over time. Those who became famous in their teens either did something earth-shattering or were true geniuses. These were all situations that only occurred under special conditions. You can refer to Naruto to know this. To avoid the rain that day, Jiraiya walked into a half-collapsed wooden building. Inside the wooden building, a man wearing a bamboo hat sat cross-legged on the ground. It seemed that he was also a traveler who was hiding from the rain. Young man, why do you want to travel? The man asked while looking after the baby in his arms. Jiraiya, who was looking at the rainy scene, answered casually, to find my own destiny. I walk in this world according to what a certain adult saw in a dream. At this time, the baby in the man's arms cried. Out of kindness, Jiraiya took out a piece of candy and handed it to the man. He never thought that the so-called baby was just a small puppet, and swallowed Jiraiya's candy under the control of the man. This child said that there is no need to look for destiny. You can only choose to accept the destiny that comes. The world of war is already before us. Puppet making, which is useless in peacetime, or maybe it can be sold to a certain country's daimyo for a high price. Watching the man leave, Jiraiya pondered secretly, thinking about what the man said. This man's idea is the same as some of the people who spoke last time. They all think that it's okay to just lie down and wait for a fate to come. Humph, with this idea, the fate that was supposed to befall him will change. Everyone in this world wants to get something for nothing, but is it possible? Perhaps his original fate is to lie down and live a mediocre life? Then, isn't doing nothing also actively approaching fate? After a small episode, Jiraiya met all kinds of people in casinos, taverns and ruined villages in his subsequent journey. Each of these people had his own unique insights into this chaotic world, but unfortunately their ideas were inconsistent with Jiraiya's idea of leading peace. One day, Jiraiya accidentally saw a small village engulfed in flames in the forest. Before he could figure out what to do next, a wind demon shuriken broke through the air from behind him. Jiraiya, who always remained alert, dodged the attack and hid behind a big tree. From the style of the shuriken and the opponent's throwing method, Jiraiya recognized that the attacker was a ninja from the Wind Demon clan, so he asked him why he attacked a civilian village. Hey, aren't these people Pine? Yes, it turns out that they are all acquaintances. Because of their different hair color and appearance, I really didn't recognize them for a while. The one with the long hair is the mind-reading Pain, right? He's from Takigakure village. The strong man who absorbed the ninjutsu is from Kusagakure village. There is also a ninja from the Fuma clan. Are the other two wandering ninjas? Chapter 422. From this situation, it can be seen that the strength of Pine has little to do with their original bodies. It is even possible that an ordinary person can be transformed into Pine. The plan to defeat all Pines to disintegrate the enemy's combat power is useless. As long as the original Nagato is not defeated, there will be as many Pines as you want. The green-haired ninja with a bun was very disdainful of Jiraiya's naive question, but still gave a reason for his action, which was just because of the information that there were ninjas infiltrating the village. Jiraiya knew that it was impossible to convince this ninja infected by the atmosphere of war verbally, so he threw a smoke bomb and fought with the other party. Unexpectedly, Jiraiya, who took the initiative to attack, fell into a disadvantage. Since you are also a ninja, I can't let you go. Give up. This is the fate of us ninjas. The green-haired ninja said to Jiraiya, who was half kneeling in front of him. After that, he didn't listen to him and rushed into Jiraiya's arms and stabbed the kunai in his hand into his chest. What is Jiraiya doing? He was actually embarrassed by a ninja from the Fuma clan. One side has the intention to kill, and the other side has no intention to fight. It is already amazing that Jiraiya can fight like this. Compared with Jiraiya now, the gap in strength is still quite large. It may be because of the lack of actual combat experience. It's obvious, just like Naruto, the reason why he can improve his strength to that level in a short period of time is entirely because there are endless enemies appearing to deal with him. Some people really rely on actual combat to improve their strength. Want me to let go? Give up. Jiraiya, who was stabbed, turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared, and his real body appeared behind the green-haired ninja. This is impossible. After speaking, Jiraiya swung the kunai in his hand, and the kunai scratched the man's forehead, leaving a horizontal wound. The green-haired ninja quickly pulled away and said with a grim face, "Even if you knock me down, there will be another assassin attacking that village. As long as we live in this cursed ninja world, there will be no peace." Watching the green-haired ninja leave, Jiraiya could not refute what he said, and couldn't help but feel unwilling to be powerless. At about the same time, the unstoppable chain of wars began, and Jiraiya was forced to suspend his journey and return to Konoha. It is said that you are looking for the reformer of the ninja world, but it is also a journey to establish your own ninja way. Here we have already seen the first clues. When you see Jiraiya say don't give up, you know what the situation is, but there is nothing else. He can't refute what this man from the Fuma clan said, right? According to what you said, Jiraiya didn't grow much until his death. After all, he only understood the concept of never giving up until his death, and then threw all the problems to his disciples to complete. It depends on your own understanding. Throwing problems to disciples can also be said to be passing on the concept. Moreover, the never giving up he said here is a little different from the never giving up he said before he died. It's like the never giving up you said verbally and the never giving up Naruto said. Can you say they are the same thing? On a rainy day, pale Tsunade rushed into a dark room panting, where Jiraiya and Orochimaru were waiting because it's a war now. Orochimaru took out the necklace Tsunade gave to Naruto from his arms expressionlessly, and his words were conveyed. Tsunade, who understood, knelt down weakly, covering her face and crying. Jiraiya put his arm around her back, his face heavy. In the ninja world, in order to erase this sadness, I must find a reformer, and must choose the one who can bring peace. I have never been more eager to find the one who can bring peace to the world, but the current war has hindered Jiraiya's steps. He has to temporarily put down this task and rush to the battlefield of the Rain Country with Orochimaru and Tsunade, who died. I still don't understand when I see the necklace Orochimaru took out. It's either Tsunade's younger brother Naruto or Kato-dan. I actually saw a little sadness on Orochimaru's face. He wasn't so perverted from the beginning. He must have been a good kid when he was young. That's why the third Hokage thought so highly of him. It seems that this dead man not only hit Tsunade, but also Orochimaru. Is that why he wanted immortality so much later? Oh my, the annoying memory appeared again. Orochimaru looked at the painting on the sky with cold eyes. The experience at that time was the biggest shock he had ever received since his parents' death, but he was always able to control his emotions, so no one else could see it. As expected, we are going to the land of rain. The next battle will be with Hanzo the Salamander. Jiraiya's fate also begins from here. The child of prophecy is waiting. It was still rainy. Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Tsunade were panting as they looked at the huge salamander opposite them, and the man standing on it, who stood at the top of the ninja world, Hanzo the Salamander. I'm afraid Konoha will win this battle, so I'll let you go. The salamander Hanzo, wearing a gas mask, said condescendingly, but Jiraiya didn't appreciate it at all and said, "We don't need your pity. We can continue to fight." Tsunade, who was supporting him, quickly stopped him. The salamander Hanzo didn't get angry about this, and said in the same tone, "You three are very strong. You can survive in this situation. From now on, I, Hanzo, We'll call you the three ninjas of Konoha. As the price of survival, each of you will bear your own honor. Hey. There's no battle scene. Just skip it. It's a pity that the battlefield was full of people because of the poisonous roots of the salamander. There were no other witnesses, so I thought I could see it with my own eyes. Hansen let Jiraiya and the others go because he was worried about Konoha's revenge. Just like he said, Konoha is about to win. If Jiraiya and the others were killed at this time, there is no guarantee that the third Hokage would transfer the main force to deal with the Hidden Rain village. After all, the third Hokage at that time was not the old man who only thought about peace later. Maybe there is a reason in this regard, but it is not entirely true to say that Hanzo was afraid of the third Hokage. Hidden Rain village is his home ground. Even the third Hokage can only fight the opponent to a 50-50 match in that environment. If he is forced into a corner, Konoha will definitely not be able to get away with it. Chapter 423. The subsequent developments were indeed as Hanzo said. Konoha won the victory, so the three people who won the title of Sannin were ready to return to Konoha's base camp in the Land of Rain after a rest to reunite with the others. At the moment, they were hiding from the rain under a cave. Because the war was about to end, Jiraiya and Tsunade also chatted more about sex, until Orochimaru suddenly reminded them, and they followed his line of sight to look at the figure hiding behind the stone pillar in front. It's still a child. Jiraiya said lightly, while Orochimaru remained alert. Don't take it lightly, even a little mouse is part of the Hidden Rain village. Under Tsunade's stern shout, Yohiko with a resolute expression walked out of the darkness and stretched out his hand to Jiraiya and the others without fear. Give us some food. This is Yohiko, his temperament is a little different from that after he became Pain. After all, it is Nagato who is controlling it, so it is normal to have some differences. This is really brave, a little child dares to reach out to several ninjas. This is a fool. If it weren't for Jiraiya, he would have died if he was not careful. Begging for food at the beginning shows that he really needs it, so since he will starve to death if he doesn't ask, he might as well give it a try. Yohiko, I miss you so much. Tendo, who was controlled by Nagato, sighed softly while looking at the sky, and Konan, who was accompanying him, also had a face full of nostalgia. Afe, who was talking to them about serious matters, grasped their emotions and said, if you really value Yohiko, you shouldn't have taken the initiative to hide the two-tail and the eight-tail. Right now, our Akatsuki has become the public enemy of the ninja world. They just didn't act rashly because they couldn't figure out your true strength for the time being. Once they think they have enough information, they will definitely attack the Hidden Rain village at the first opportunity. You don't want the Hidden Rain village to become a battlefield again, Nagato. Only by gathering the tailed beasts can we have the capital to fight against the 5 major countries, or have you forgotten the dream entrusted to you by Yohiko, and are ready to give all the hope of peace to the so-called son of prophecy, Uzumaki Naruto. After being pooed by Afe many times, and with the exposure of various inside stories of Shenmue, if nothing else, at least Nagato's ability to analyze and distinguish has improved a lot. So he answered straight to the point, you don't have to say such words to provoke me, Uchiha Madara. Or Afe, I have not given up Yohiko's dream, but this does not mean that I have to act according to your plan. After all, we both know that our ultimate goals are inconsistent, right? I don't know what you really think, but please remember that I am the one who holds the initiative with the Samsara Eye. I can decide whether to hand over the 2 tails and the 8 tails by myself, and I don't need you to make suggestions. You are very bold, kid. The Sharingan revealed in the hole of the mask flashed a cold light. Afe felt a little unexpected that Nagato actually stood against him so openly. I thought that he could maintain the superficial relationship before capturing all the Jinchuuriki. Sure enough, it was because of the last sky curtain. However, Nagato did not intend to completely tear his face with the other party. After all, everyone was indeed on the same boat, so he softened his attitude and said, instead of worrying about the 2-tailed and 8-tailed beasts in my hands, you might as well figure out how to capture the remaining tailed beasts as soon as possible. I think we should have the same idea on this point. Humph. I don't want to work hard to come up with a solution, only to see that the Hidden Rain village has been breached by the 5 major countries. Afe snorted coldly, and Shyandao replied calmly, there is no need to worry about the targeting of the 5 major countries. As long as I am here, they will have no chance to take the tailed beasts back. But the matter of replenishing combat power cannot be stopped. How is the progress of Zetsu? Have you found Orochimaru? Have you found anything in Konoha? Question mark. That guy hid very deeply. The several bases that Zetsu found were all abandoned by him. Even if he was found, it would not be easy to get information about the impure world reincarnation from him. Afe also restrained his emotions and replied lightly, "As for Konoha, do you think they are still likely to be careless about the forbidden technique of impure world reincarnation nowadays? It doesn't matter. Whether it is Orochimaru or Konoha, they are just idle chess pieces, including those responsible for contacting those ninjas and forces who are dissatisfied with the 5 major countries. In the end, it depends on our own strength." "Where are your parents?" Jiraiya asked, and Yahiko replied with a cold face, "They were killed by ninjas in this war." Jiraiya was slightly moved and took out his dry food and handed it to Yahiko. Seeing that they had no ill intentions, Yahiko called out Konan and Nagato, and took away Jiraiya and Tsunade's dry food without any hesitation. The episode ended, and the 3 ninjas left the cave and returned to the base camp, but Yahiko and the other 2 followed them closely. Tsunade, who was depressed by the war and the weather, turned around impatiently and asked angrily, "I gave you the food just now, why are you still following us?" Konan put her hands behind her back and took a few steps forward, holding a paper flower and handed it to Tsunade. "Thank you, this is a return gift." Depending on the situation, Yahiko is their leader. Orphans who can survive in such a chaotic world, if nothing else, at least they are very brave. Orphans in chaotic times want to survive, relying on nothing more than stealing, robbing, and cheating. Those with kind personalities are unlikely to survive. This is really bold. They are hanging on the tail of the 3 ninjas just to send a flower. Aren't they afraid that Orochimaru will kill them easily? Jiraiya chuckled and praised. His attitude made Yahiko feel that he had a chance. He made his request directly, "Teach us ninjutsu." "You are Konoha's ninjas, right?" Jiraiya and Tsunade were surprised, but the cold-blooded Orochimaru would not indulge these children who were asking for more. He directly proposed to kill them, but was rejected by Jiraiya. "Don't say it, Orochimaru. You and Tsunade go back first. I will stay and take care of these little guys for the time being. Wait until they can at least be independent, which is also a little atonement." Ignoring Tsunade's objection, Jiraiya took a few steps forward, half knelt down and put his arm around Yahiko's shoulder. "This must be fate. Oh my god. This is so bold. Which orphan dares to ask others to teach them ninjutsu like this? And this is when they know that the other party is not a ninja from their own country." Chapter 424. The reputation of the Rain Ninja is not very good. In the eyes of these orphans, foreign ninjas may be more trustworthy than their own ninjas. Because they are civilians, it is normal that they do not understand the rules of ninjas. However, they dare to ask to learn ninjutsu from them. Their courage is indeed greater than that of most people. In this case, people usually assume that the other party is an undercover or spy, even if they are children. If Jiraiya is not because of the prophecy, it is unlikely that he will accept them as disciples. The scene changes to a small house by the river. Jiraiya, Yahiko and the other 2 are sitting at the dining table eating grilled fish. Compared with Yahiko, who has adapted to his status and feasted, the reserved Nagato not only did not move his chopsticks, but silently shed tears. Under Yahiko's questioning, Nagato said in a crying voice that he missed his family. Seeing this, Yahiko slammed the table and ordered him not to cry. He couldn't stand men crying the most, because this was a sign of weakness in the eyes of outsiders. Jiraiya saw that the atmosphere was a little tense, and smiled slightly to comfort them. The 3 major countries outside the Hidden Rain village are also very unstable at the moment, so it is difficult for the war to continue for a long time. When you grow up, the countries can understand each other, and there will be peace here. That Nagato, who always calls himself a god, was actually a punching bag when he was a child. In a sense, this is also growth, but it doesn't quite meet Jiraiya's expectations. Is Jiraiya saying this to comfort them, or does he really think so? Can doing nothing make the countries understand each other? Even Naruto must fight before he can open up to others. I believe it or not, half and half. After all, he is so old, and Jiraiya should have seen the situation of the ninja world. However, he is a man who is responsible for bringing peace to the ninja world, so he may have more expectations for some naive ideas than ordinary people. According to what you said, peace in the ninja world itself belongs to the category of naivety, and this word is generally associated with unreliability. How else can we show the preciousness of the child of prophecy? It is because this thing is very difficult. If someone really does it, It can be called a miracle and deserve the title of the child of prophecy, right? However, Yohiko is extremely repulsive to Jiraiya. Naive, he stood up by pressing the table, interrupted Jiraiya and loudly retorted, "This is just wishful thinking. Our families were killed. If we want to understand each other, at least let each other taste the same pain. Only in this way can we feel the pain. But I know that is impossible, so the war cannot be stopped." Yohiko clenched his fists, his eyes fierce. "I hate rain. This country has been crying all the time, but I am a coward. I want to change this country. I want to protect everyone. So Jiraiya teacher, please let us practice ninjutsu." Tisk, I'm sure, this Yohiko is not brave, but heartless. But brain, in front of Jiraiya, a foreign ninja, he said he wanted to bring pain to the surrounding countries. If it were me, Jiraiya would have taken him down on the spot. Let the other party feel pain and then they can understand each other. Isn't this what Nagato said before? It turns out that this ideal is proposed by Yohiko. Coupled with Jiraiya's education of Nagato, the combination of the two has become the concept that supports his actions. It's really fucked up to think about it, this feeling of being implicated for no reason. Jiraiya seems to have not decided to teach them ninjutsu yet. Now after hearing what Yohiko said, he should be even less willing to teach. On this day, Jiraiya stayed alone in the house writing a novel, because he had no inspiration and couldn't write. He recalled Yohiko's hateful words, and while filling the tap with water, he was thinking about the next plot of the novel, although I want the protagonist to let go of his hatred and bring peace to the country. But how to do it? Suddenly, the wooden door of the hut was pushed open, and Konan appeared at the door with a panicked look on her face. "Teacher Jiraiya, it's bad." Yohiko and Nagato. Although he didn't know what was going on, Jiraiya asked Konan to take him to the scene of the accident without saying a word. Sure enough, Jiraiya himself didn't know what to do. If the logic doesn't make sense, it's impossible for a person to let go of hatred. So how did Jiraiya deal with it in the end? The book he wrote should have the answer. You can say yes, or no. Everything about the protagonist can be summed up in one word: never give up. But there is nothing else. Maybe it is because this part of the plot is not handled well that the sales of Jiraiya's first book are not very good. This plot handling is very shameless. Does it mean that as long as you never give up, you will find a way one day? We have to wait for Naruto to give an answer to this. From the previous Sky Curtain, he seems to have forgiven Nagato who killed Jiraiya. I don't know how he can think of it. He knew that Jiraiya cried so sadly when he died, but he actually forgave his enemy in the end. Was he persuaded by Nagato? On the carriage, Naruto frowned and looked at the sky. If he asked himself, he didn't think he would forgive Nagato who killed the lecherous sage, but his future self did it. Jiraiya didn't care much about his own death, but he was also curious about what answer Naruto could give. Nagato and Yohiko, one sitting and the other lying, and next to them, there was a man in ninja clothes lying on the ground. His blood soaked the ground under the washing of rain. What happened? Jiraiya rushed over to help Yohiko up. Yohiko explained with a trace of fear on his face, "The remnants of the ninja want us to hand over the food and valuables, and then Nagato will." Jiraiya recognized the attacker as a Chunin from Iwagakure from his attire and forward protector, and then after shifting his attention to Nagato, he couldn't help but widen his eyes and his pupils shrank sharply. These eyes are. This child, could it be that shape, that wavy pattern? It's too incredible. Those eyes are the most noble of the three major eye techniques, the Samsara eye, chapter 425. The first time the power of the Rinnegan was displayed was to attack the Iwagakure ninja. I am dying of laughter. I remember that during World War II, the Iwagakure didn't seem to do anything serious. They just joined in the fun. How could a Chunin be so poor as to rob civilians of food and money in the Rangakure, in that messy environment? Who knows if this Iwagakure ninja is real or fake? Maybe he's a wandering ninja. Jiraiya looked stunned, and subconsciously searched for the legend about the Six-Path Sage in his memory. The Six-Path Sage is regarded as the ancestor of ninjas. It is said that all the current ninjutsu is created by the sage with a Rinnegan. He is the creator god who gave birth to everything with his hands when the world fell into chaos. He is also the destroyer god who can reset everything. I thought it was just a myth, but I didn't expect that people with the Rinnegan really exist. Looking at Nagato walking by with Konan's support, Jiraiya suddenly remembered the prophecy of the Great Toad Sage. Could it be that Nagato is the reformer? The corners of his mouth lifted up involuntarily, and Jiraiya made a decision. This may be a fateful encounter. I'm a little curious. When the six-path sage was regarded as a legend in the past, how did the saying of the three-eye techniques come down? After all, it really existed. Although the saying of the three-eye techniques has been circulating, it is mentioned less and less. If it weren't for the real example of Nagato, perhaps in a few decades, this saying would not exist. In Jiraiya's eyes, the six-path sage is also a figure in myth and legend. It seems that even Konoha does not have accurate information about the six-path sage. Everything was buried in history along with the extermination of the Uchiha clan. Maybe the six-path sage really existed, but he can't be completely acquainted with the description in the legend. For example, the saying all ninjutsu were created by him is obviously a description that was added by later generations. After all, you can't say that Naruto's Rasenshuriken is also a move that the six-path sage used who knows how long ago. Although it is not a technique he created, I think that people of that level should be able to use the same moves after just a few glances and a little understanding. From this point of view, it is not an exaggeration to say that he has mastered all ninjutsu. I don't know how much of the creation myth is artistic processing. Judging from Nagato's current performance, he is indeed very strong, but there is still a big gap compared to the legend of the six-path sage. Every choice has a reason. If it weren't for the prophecy, Jiraiya might have dealt with Nagato in other ways. I still hold the same view. Even if there is no prophecy, Jiraiya saw the legendary Samsara Eye, so he had to bring him back to Konoha. What on earth is the reason for leaving him outside to grow on his own? And even with Yohiko, who has expressed malice towards other countries, accompanying him, I have decided to teach you ninjutsu. Jiraiya said to the three children, explaining the reason amid Yohiko's cheers, because things like before that could endanger your lives could happen at any time. I want to teach you ninjutsu to protect yourself. However, Nagato was not very interested in this, but Yohiko, who was in an excited state, did not notice that his mood was wrong, and just kept emphasizing how to protect the two people around him after becoming stronger. One night, a low sob woke Jiraiya up. Finding that Nagato was not in his bed, Jiraiya followed the crying and came outside. He saw Nagato sitting at the door, burying his face in his knees and sobbing. If there was no Samsara Eye, perhaps Jiraiya would only take care of them until they were able to be independent, and whether to teach them ninjutsu was another matter. That's why Jiraiya fought with Pain until the very end. After all, it was all his fault. Whether it was that his disciples didn't follow the right path or that Akatsuki, a terrorist organization that endangered the ninja world, emerged, he had no choice but to take responsibility as a teacher. In fact, Jiraiya has been responsible enough. After all, they are just orphans from 3 neighboring countries. It's good enough for him to do this. Jiraiya sat down next to Nagato, put his hand on his shoulder, and whispered, "What's wrong with you? Tell me, teacher, are you still thinking about what happened before?" Nagato wiped his tears and answered with a tearful voice, "At that time, Yohiko was injured, and I was very angry. After that, my mind went blank, and then I knew nothing. When I came to my senses, the other person had already fallen. After that, I was very scared, because I was lost in hatred and killed the other person. I did something wrong. In fact, there should be a better way. Nagato, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but because of you, Yohiko was saved. You protected your friends, so what you did should be right, and no one will blame you." Jiraiya gently stroked Nagato's back and comforted him. Tisk, you actually feel guilty for killing someone by mistake. Who would have thought that this kid would come up with a plan to massacre the ninja world later? You can't bear to kill one person yourself, but you don't care about using forbidden weapons to kill hundreds of millions of people, right? So you don't understand. This is a change in thinking after growing into a god. You mortals just need to accept it obediently. Laugh. At this time, Nagato should have learned nothing, because the Samsara Eye awakened. He directly killed a Chunin in seconds? Who knows what moves he used? After all, he is Pine's real body, so it's not surprising that anything happened. Jiraiya is really amazing. He completely disregarded Konoha's position for the sake of peace in the ninja world. Whatever you do to protect your friends is the right thing to do. What if Konoha and his friends are in opposition one day? I originally thought that Jiraiya's character was half ideal and half realistic, but now it seems that the ideal side accounts for a larger proportion. I feel that if there is a chance to really make peace in the ninja world, he will pay any sacrifice. Tisk, although I don't quite agree. If someone can really do this, I will still admire him. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.